weapon itself, evolving kill effects, plus tracer rounds and voice broadcast. Additionally, the store will launch the Demulan's Edge bundle. This pack includes the gold melee weapon Switchblade, Demulan's Edge, along with various weapon appearances, charms, avatars, calling cards, and other ways to personalize your gear. Weapon charms are getting a brand new Asara theme, Asara Guard soldier figures. Collect the complete set, and the charms will actually glow on their own. When your weapons fire, you'll even see cool burn effects. Make sure to grab them in the new season. Meanwhile, the Delta Force and Arknights collab is just about to launch. If you're an Arknights fan, you definitely don't want to miss it. That's all the exciting content coming in the Break New Season Update. Break free from your cage and escape to freedom on July 9th.
Well, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome into the Delta Force Elite Invitational. This is our European region, and I am so excited to be back as per the usual. My name is Goj, and excited to host and cast all the games today. But I got a brand new face into the Delta Force esports ecosystem. I've got to welcome in my good friend, Dandro. Welcome to the booth, my man. How you feeling? You ready to get loud for some Delta Force?
Dude, I am always get loud for any type of action, and Delta Force is none exception there. It's been great. Kind of come up to speed with this game, seeing all that we have to offer. A really good format that we have here today. Really excited to watch our teams battle it out here, especially in the EU region.
Yeah, it's going to be a dang good time. Really looking forward to this. Now, we've got a bunch of streamers from all over the place bringing in their own teams to compete against each other to win, frankly, a good bit of money and potentially more than that. We've got a lot going on in this competition. For those that have missed it thus far, Delta Force has had a ton of esports competitions over the last month or two. In particular, we just wrapped up the Delta Force Global League, Dandro, with Operations and Warfare. And I know you had a chance to peek into some of those broadcasts, but the format for today is going to look very similar from the Delta Force Global League with operations and a lot of restrictions behind the scenes of how things operate.
Yeah, I love sort of the format, like I mentioned, that we built out, right? We have not to spoil anything, we have some map changes that are going on through when it comes to some of our rotations and just some limitations on the operators that you can bring on in. Yeah. Kind of being able to mirror some of that format we had last week, right? So, well, yeah, it is a kind of nice little fun competition we have here today with $10,000 on a line, and our streamers, hopefully they've been doing their homework, man, because there's a lot of strategy involved in this, right? It's not just about picking your 3 favorite operators that you think you can steamroll a lobby with. No, because you only can use every operator only twice throughout the competition. Yeah. You have to be very careful, right? We have some rounds with Mandlebricks, some rounds without. It's going to just change how you want to play this game round over round.
Yeah, it's a really good shout. Definitely a couple key changes we'll go over from Delta Force Global League into the Delta Force Elite Invitational. And again, this is the European region. We will have the North American region later today. But before we get into the full format breakdown and all of that good stuff, I do want to kind of break down how things are working currently in the Delta Force esports ecosystem. Because yes, this is the Delta Force Elite Invitational, but they're earning spots potentially for a world championship, the Delta Force Invitational on land. So there's even more at stake. But let's talk a little bit about the format for today. Now, yes, this is going to look very familiar. 6 teams of 3 competing today. Again, all have been invited, but our maps do look a little bit different, like Dandro said. If you watched the Delta Force Global League, you saw that we went to Zero Dam twice. This time, maps are delineated this way. So we were going to Brackish twice, Zero Dam once, and Space City 3 times. We're going to be starting with Zero Dam. We'll talk about that map rotation in a second. A couple other key differences. Look at the bottom of your screen. Everybody's still starting with 1,000,000 Technic Alloy to start. That's each player to build out their kits. If you didn't watch the Delta Force Global League broadcast, then this is new to the Delta Force ecosystem, is that when you die, you lose your gear. It's just like public lobbies. They've got 1,000,000 to spend. Now, we did up the amount of value that each player will earn per kill. So they'll earn an extra 300k Technic Alloy per kill. And then the way this is going to work is that all of the teams are going to be ranked by their total assets value. So if you get out of the map, you extract with a bunch of loot, you get to keep that loot and potentially use that to buy even better stuff that you can bring into the following map. However, aside from total assets, the number one thing teams are ranked by is the amount of Mandlebricks they've captured. We will play up to 6 rounds, with rounds 2, 4, 5, and 6 with a Mandlebrick on the map. So if you have one single penny to your name, but you have a Mandlebrick on the leaderboard, you decoded that thing on the map, you are going to be top of the leaderboard. And then, of course, that is then delineated by total assets if multiple teams have a Mandlebrick. Now, the key factor to this double Mandlebrick point format is that if one team is able to capture 2 Mandlebricks at any point in this competition, they win the competition. I don't care if we're on map 4, 5, or it's the last one, they are on top. And then, like Dandro said, operators can only be used 2 times. So a lot going on here. Feel free to ask questions as needed in the Twitch chat. But Dandro, talk me through the pricing, because we got a lot of cash on the line.
Yeah, $10,000, and it's very weighted towards the top here. So obviously we're coming in as trios. When you're looking at this, right, you have to be able to be kind of thinking, hey, me and my boys, we want to be towards the top. $4,000 for first place, $2,500 for second, $1,500 for third. Let me kind of break down just a little bit. Fourth with $1,000, and then fifth to sixth place, well, you're not going home empty-handed. You're still walking away with $500 each. So like Coach just mentioned, you definitely want to be that team that captures both Mandlebricks very, very quickly, because if you're able to do that, it doesn't really matter what else you were able to do on the map. Hey, you'll at least be walking away with $4,000 here on the day.
Yeah, a great shot. Let's talk about some of those teams, Dandra, that are going to be competing today. I know they are ready to hop into the lobby, and we're about to get started. So before we hop into our very first game, here are our 6 trios that are joining us today. Total of 18 players on the map. Some really good teams, and to be frank, there's a couple individuals that have even played in some big competitions in the past. Dandra, who you got your eyes on? Which teams do you think could maybe win this whole thing?
Man, I mean, I was doing my research. There was one team that really kind of jumped off the page to me. That was Team Larry the Carry, right? With Larry the Carry, Minda, and Warren. This squad, I just loved watching them be able to play in pubs, because they were just full sending every single team they could, but also they were having some jokes. They were laughing with each other. Now, it's esports, baby, right? This is a whole different ball game. You got to turn up the attention, but the fact that these 3 guys play together all the time and are used to trying to work some of these maps and know these maps like the back of their hand, I'm very excited about the strategy that they're going to bring into our event here today.
Yeah, definitely a team to watch out for. Warren has competed in several of our show matches in the past, and excited to see his foray into esports. I, of course, also have to shout out Team Tyson. I swear this team competes in every event Delta Force basically has ever put on, and they're always near the top of the list. Whether it's warfare, operations, doesn't matter. And it's also this trio. So something we always talk about in esports, Dandro, is just that chemistry is nearly everything. If you work together as a team, you're going to come out on top. And this trio, all 3 of these players as a unit, have been playing in a ton of these broadcasts. So excited about that squad. Have also seen Team Stickinson compete in multiple titles and in Delta Force esports competition. So this is probably the team with the most esports background in Delta Force. I think Team Stickinson probably is my team to beat today.
Yeah, I think it's a great shout, right? We even saw sort of a Star Baxter sort of in their sort of team channel, right? Was really trying to nail down all the rules and understand really the bounds of what was possible going on in here. Because, man, I mean, when you are trying to look at what is capable in these lobbies, you have to walk in here with a very strong strategy. So I think it's a good shout for Team Stickinson. I'm also keeping my eye on Team Delta Fix for sure. We had a little bit of a intel given to us by them of they broke down their entire operator rotation for every map that they wanted to be able to go on out with. So I think that is some preparation that we can't overlook, my man. Very excited to see if they maybe stick to that or if they make any changes map over map based on what they're encountering against their opposition.
Yeah, it's a really good shot. I'm not going to out their strategies on main, but they did send an entire spreadsheet document with their full comps, which is exciting. Let's talk about the maps, though, because we talked about this at the top of broadcast, and I want to be very clear about the differences from Delta Force Global League into today. We are starting with Zero Dam. We can't ever do an operations competition and not do Zero Dam. It is the smallest map. It's also going to be the fastest today, only 16 minutes on the clock. However, we will only be playing it once and without a Mandlebrick. So this will be a map where there is going to be an airdrop where you could potentially pick up some tier 5 armor and maybe even an AWM, and it's incredibly powerful ammo that comes with it. However, you got to fight around that airdrop. No bricks on this one. So everybody's probably going to be going for mostly just racking up some loot, getting out of the map, making sure they have good value for the Mandlebrick rounds. We will then go to Brackish back to back in map 2 and 3. Map 2, of course, will have a Mandlebrick. Map 3 will not. But then we end with Space City, and another Space City. Everybody loves this map at home. It's a super sweaty map. It's that map that you got to bring in a certain amount of gear to even get onto the map. It's that hard in pubs, and for esports, it is hyper competitive. So we want to see it potentially up to 3 times. Now, Delta Force Global League, one of our competitions ended in 4 maps, folks, because a team was able to capture the Mandlebrick in round 2 and then able to capture the Mandlebrick in round 4 as well. So we may only see Space City 1 time, who knows, but could see it up to 3 times, Dandro.
Yeah, love that we're at least getting Space City into this rotation a little bit more. Like you said, if we do manage to get to maybe that map 5, that map 6, we're going to be sitting on here, right? So maybe if you're some of these squads, right, you know you're at least getting to Space City once. So if you can manage to at least have some great value going into that, even if you don't manage to have the Mandlebrick at that point, hey, get to that 4th round, get to that first map of Space City, capture that Mandlebrick, and then maybe you're setting yourself up beautifully for those last 2 rounds if it's a map that you really prefer. But it all starts here, my friend, here on the dam. We know that a lot of our players, like you mentioned, they're just trying to rack up as much value as possible and then try and get on out of there.
Yeah, and a quick look at the map view. Obviously, you can see where everybody spawned in. Now, we've got a little bit of different UI from the Delta Force Global League as well. We'll talk you through that as needed, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Definitely worth taking a look at admin. You can see the 2 teams that are already at admin. They do have the... in my opinion, the best spawns in terms of the best loot, but it does mean they're going to get into the action first. The rest of these 4 teams look like they're going to play really slow and just loot up the POI that they started in, which I'm a little bit surprised. Usually we see the folks that land or start in substation, rather, usually hit the tunnels and immediately go to admin. Could watch out for that squad, maybe taking the tunnels and third partying if the fight in admin takes a little while. But eyes on admin while everybody else is looting up. We'll continue to pay attention to seeing what people find. And I actually, you know, to continue this, it looks like Larry the Carry actually found one of the military devices already, a red item on the map. That's the nature of going to admin first. Adderson also finding a gold bar actually in substation. We got some good loot to start things off.
Yeah, you're already feeling solid. It's sort of that risk versus reward of admin that we love to talk about. Last time we were here in the Global League, right, we saw basically 2 teams. They were in the same vicinity, and it wasn't until the final moments of extraction that they actually decided to sort of take the energy towards each other. So everybody may be respecting each other just a little bit of trying to go for that loot before you maybe try and have to get that engage. And with some of our teams, though, picking up those high value items already, I do wonder, do you maybe start thinking like, okay, do we try and get out early?
Yeah.
And so we can avoid all of that conflict, saying, hey, we got our value, right? Remember, folks, it's total value that you're extracting with that matters. So you grab a high value item, you came on in, you maybe invested a little bit with that million Technic alloy you got before hopping on in. You say, all right, sick, cool, we're feeling good. Let's get on ahead. Let's back on out of here.
Yeah, a great shout. It's super interesting, some of the conversations around when do we get out, when do we not. Sometimes you can send an individual out. These teams do have safe boxes, so depending how big some of the items they find are, could potentially just put them in a safe box. True. But we do see that often of teams. Usually it's stacking one player with all the loot they find and just getting them out of the map, so at least they have something, some value added to the leaderboard just in case, and then the other 2 can get a little crazy. Obviously down in player advantage, but these players know there are others nearby. Going to take this very slow, do some of the operations nearby, a couple of the missions potentially for some extra money. And this is, you know, I say this in just about every broadcast I'm a part of, Dan. The first map is always the litmus test, right? You've got to see how fast things are going to go. And I think in the Delta Force Global League, we traditionally saw things move very fast. There was some really aggressive gameplay to start. Today, though, I think some folks learned that, hey, if we die, we lose all of our stuff. So let's play a little bit slower.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great shout out that you do not want to go down this early. I mean, you mentioned it. We had a couple people who really on this 0 dam map in the Global League, like they got eliminated very, very quickly. And you reminder folks, you'll lose all your gear if you get taken on out. And to lose all your gear in map number 1 is just going to set your team back so much. I think it's even okay to kind of play it safe, knowing that this is really sort of your warm-up round to get sort of prepped for the Mandlebrick here when you get ready to head on over to Brackish in map 2. So definitely, I like what we're seeing from our screen here from some of our teams. It's just slow and steady wins the race. You called it good. You said, hey, I wonder if this team substation is going to rotate through those tunnels, maybe on over to admin, try and go for a little bit of a third party. And it seems like that is what team Atarison is trying to be able to do, and just kind of lagging around here, maybe deciding, do we want to fully push on up, or is this maybe get a little bit too risky for us? Can we go ahead? Can we back on out?
Yeah, I think it's an information gathering mission right now. Patience is a virtue, especially in operations. It is worth paying attention to, though, the big old clock dead center, top of our screen right now. Reminder, folks, the gameplay loop is very fast compared to what you're used to in pubs. 0 dam, usually a faster map. In our event today, it is a 16-minute timer in total. So we're already almost 6 minutes in, a little over 5. and you've got to get out of the map. Looks like Warren off screen has picked up some nice loot as well. 276k and counting. I love our brand new overlay. Oh, Minda finds one as well. We got some great loot. I love our new overlay. As you can see on the left-hand side, you can see the total assets obtained in the map. You can see the order of the teams technically and loot value. That can change quite dramatically if one fight breaks out. It is worth mentioning, too, at the bottom, some of the rules for this event and some of the changes. For the first round, the max ammo you can buy, the max ranked ammo you can buy is that blue tier. That's going to be tier 3. But some folks have elected to spend some extra cash that they started with on purple or even gold tier 5 armor if you're able to buy it. And so you'll see some of these fights actually take a little bit longer than you're used to, with that difference in tiers between ammo and armor.
Yeah, and you can see it feels like a Turson here down at the bottom. I think maybe heard a little bit of a movement from Larry the Carry. And if I'm team Larry the Carry right now, I mean, you have a lot, right? We saw them pick up that high value item earlier. It's a couple thumb drives that they're able to grab even more, right? I feel like they have to just make sure that they are able to get on out of here. And I think if you are team Turson, you see some of these guards in the bottom. You don't want to try and get these shots on up and let everybody know that you're in the area. But for TJ Skipper, they see this loadout drop, and we're starting to see some of our first fights break on out.
Yeah, good shot. You can see some of our operator choices across the board. We'll talk a little bit more about those between the maps, but you are seeing a couple early stingers. And oh, Stickinson sound. I have the angle. I have the high ground. We always know that high ground wins, and this time absolutely the case. An early pick here is gigantic. They're going to have player advantage for this fight, and this is going to be the signal flare that we're going to push forward, try to capitalize on this. They actually get the full as well. They've got 2 down on the other side. What in the world has happened to this Skipper squad?
Yeah, I like this. Full send this right now. You know you have 2 notches. Play as a team. Go ahead, swing wide, and there you go. Stickinson. He's good for 3. You don't even need teammates. You don't even need to play as a trio. No, merge on forward. Feel good. And I was just noticed something too as he pushed on up coach, is that like look at the operator choice for this team coming in here in Zero Dam game number 1, right? You have the Stinger, you have the Hack Claw, and you have the Nox coming on in here. Investing the Hack Claw and Stinger, map number 1, it's a bold choice, right? We know that a lot of teams usually like to hang on to some of those characters for, of course, our Mandlebrick rounds. But here it seems like for Team Stickinson, they want to actually just bring the aggression early, say, hey, you know what's better than trying to loot and scoot? I don't know, just eliminate a full team, steal all their gear, get on out of the map.
Yeah, and they were fighting around that airdrop. They got a crazy amount of loot there. Yeah, that was wild. You can see the airdrop location on the map, by the way. There's going to be a second one coming in right next to Stickinson's team. I'll be really curious to see if they play for both. It is a little bit more risky, but I think Stickinson by himself had 2 mil. And so he's got a ton of value. Some of those gold items were like 6 slaughters. He's running out of backpack space right now. I think it definitely goes back to what you were talking about, Dan. They might send one out early if they can get to a spot that they think is free. Now, a couple quick notes on this map, by the way. Obviously, you can see our team in purple, that's going to be Tyson's team, is already camping the dam extraction at the top of the map. Adderson's squad likely is going to try to use that to get out of the map. Our game timer's on 7 minutes. There is another extraction you can pay for at the bottom of the map, which is likely where Stickinson's team is going to go for. But obviously, as you can tell, Delta Fix's squad also moving to that extraction with Warren and co. Yeah. Larry the Carry overlooking it. Probably a fight with 3 teams at the bottom extraction, a fight with 2 at the top.
Yeah, I think for Stickinson right now, just focus on maybe trying to hold this airdrop that comes on in. Don't get too aggro just yet. And I'm feeling a little bit cautious right now for Team Delta Fix, because it seems like they're going to be the squad that gets sandwiched here very, very quickly if they are not careful. Big as see Larry the Carry starting to move on up. You got a couple of these members in here. Size shots absolutely raining down onto Core First, who is ahead of you. And we're starting to see, obviously, Star Baxter in there from Stickinson. They are absolutely looting up to the gills from that area.
Yeah, this is huge. Stickinson's team, they've just picked up the AWM, folks. That's that AWM Lapua ammo that goes absolutely bonkers. Every stack that they were picking up, which is like 6 bullets, is like 100K for each 6 bullet stack. It's unreal. A lot of value here. Key thing, though, you can't put the AWM bullets in your safe box. They've got to either use them or get out with with them in your backpack. A lot of value going to be lying on the ground for some of these teams if they're able to watch Stickinson's squad. Take a look at that 4.6. We'll come back to the fight in a moment because they're probably going to take a second. There is a fight happening in this dam extract, and right now, it looks like they're able to pick back up Adderson, so it is going to be a 3v3, but obviously Team Tyson has the advantage.
Just kind of holding on in here. I think this is a great sort of spot to hang on out if you are Team Tyson. Play your headies where you can. Just kind of let them use all their util, use all your gadgets that you need. Already, we're starting to see this Byron start to move on forward. Can he manage to get aggro? Okay, Tyson, it's a great defense right now. You might lose one in the process. Adderson's going to be able to get on out, but look who is on the chase. It's the team captain himself. Little captain on captain action as their patience will be able to come on through as they're able to loot on up a lot of this team. I mean, look at all of the loot that they just managed to secure.
Yeah, so much I want to talk about with that fight, but we've got another giant fight breaking out at the bottom, and it's between our top teams. I mean, this is such a big fight for Stickinson's team. They have to win this. They have so much value on them. Obviously, big shout to Team Tyson for rotating early to extract, camping the extract. They get paid for it. But another team on extract first, it's going to be Team Delta Fix. They do get, it looks like 1 or 2 full knocked. It is 2 full knocked and a full wipe, but it's not from Stickinson's squad. It's off screen on the flank. Larry the carry living up to his name as they pick up a triple on Delta Fix's team, and now they're the team holding Stickinson.
Yeah, that's what I was really worried about from Team Delta Fix, was just kind of finding themselves in between these two heavy-hitting squads for the time being. And obviously, you can see Team Larry the Carry, they were able to move on up. They easily clean up Delta Fix with some help from Stickinson's squad. They got in a little bit of damage, and now they kind of feels like they have a little bit more of the power position. A lot of damage going out from this trio. They're going to start to get a little aggro. Move on up. Only 4 minutes left in this map. You still have a decent amount of time to try and get on out of here, but it looks like for Team Stickinson, they're going to go ahead and back away, try and reset just a little bit. They have a lot of value on their players. They do not want to just take an errant fight and get taken on down. You see on your left-hand side of your screen there, they're currently sitting up 1.9 mil over Larry that is in front of them. So it's going to be a huge swing if either of these teams can manage to take out the other. But I would love to see at least just one of them just maybe kind of take your time, go ahead, try and maybe hit that extraction if possible.
Yeah, in this extraction on the south side, you do have to pay for, obviously, it looks like, I think that was Warren that was able to loot that body who had 30K in cash on them. So you should at least see 1 to 2 players from Larry the Carry get out from the south side if there's still spots left. And it looks like there is. And I'll be really curious to see what Stickinson's squad does, because there's 3 minutes on the clock right now. They've got to get out with the loot they have. Obviously, they've got safe boxes, and here's a look at that AWM. That thing hits like a truck. 1 shot to the head, 1 shot to the body. Don't care, didn't ask. AWM to the face. We'll see if they decide to use it, or are able to use it, rather, on this fight. But I can't imagine they're going to try that. I think they know it's just too risky to take that fight. We have a big lead. Let's see if we can get out somewhere else.
I mean, they have to know that they've been responsible for, 2 of our squads getting eliminated in this lobby. They're probably kind of thinking, okay, there's no way that these other 2 squads, or at least the one other squad that has to be there, like, that they didn't manage to get on out, that there wasn't some type of fight going on. So it's why I'm not surprised to see them really just trying to walk away, maybe back up towards that admin side. And it looks like for Team Larry the Carry, yeah, they're just going to go ahead. It looks like invest, try and sit on this extract, try and get on out of here with 2 minutes on the clock. And hopefully with Team Stickinson, if they can get on out of here, then this should be a pretty solid round for most of our teams.
Yeah, it looks like they did send 1. I think it was only 1 player that could get out with the amount of cash they found on bodies. So Larry the Carry have 1 out, and the other 2 maybe just trying to play spoiler and make sure Stickinson's team doesn't extract. Actually, crazy amount of points on the leaderboard, if that's going to be the case. Or points removed, even. Usages go out. Here comes the spoilers. Beta Knife on the other side should spoil things a little bit. And we're going to play around the corner. Stickinson getting active. The whole team playing together. Kaiser gets cut down and full traded out. Swings out weak. Gets the trade again. It's going to be a 1v2 now. But the question is, where's the rest of Stickinson's squad? I believe their third is absconded at this point. So it's a 1v1. And I'm usually taking the Viren. Let's see if that's going to be the case. Yeah, the knockdown lands. It just goes in, cleans it up with a knife. Wow. Minda 999, well played, and is able to get the revive. Those are big takedowns. That's so much value being lost for Team Stickinson. You actually see them get surpassed by Larry the Carry on the leaderboard.
Yeah, you can see Star Baxter was the last player alive for Team Stickinson, just nowhere in that fight. Opposite side of the map, you mentioned it, probably just loaded up on value. Not going to try and go for the extract. Don't know if I necessarily love that play. There is an element of like, you just got outgunned that comes down to it, right?
Yeah.
So good job from Team Larry the Carry to kind of play that beautifully just on the wall. You saw a lot of utility come on through to ensure that they were going to be able to make that win. And it's Minda basically, after realizing there's that knock, says, hey, this player's got to back on up. They have to invest some of those consumables to try and heal. Let me try and get a little bit more of a forward position, so that way I can maybe take a little bit of an off angle. And you mentioned it, it's just the Viren coming on through, being able to use that little bit of a dash just to kind of break the ankles a little bit, right? Get a little bit of a better positioning. Is able to stay alive for the time being. So good job there from, of course, our two members of Team Larry the Carry. And well, at least for Star Baxter, you got 10 seconds here on the map. You should be okay to get on out of here.
Yeah, and I think they're going to make it, but on the other side, Larry the Carry is just stuffing those safe boxes full of anything they can get their hands on. Obviously, two members of Larry the Carry not able to get out of the map, but they did their job, potentially cutting down the team that was supposed to be at the top, taking that top position, especially with Warren being able to get out with a full bag of everything that he could fit in. Actually really well done from this Larry the Carry team. And frankly, Tandro, good shot from us, because these are the two teams we shouted out at the top of broadcast. Larry the Carry and Stickinson, they both crushed it. The question is, who's going to be at the top of the leaderboard after the first round? What a fun Zero Dam map. It started a little slower than I expected, but it ended as aggressive as per the usual. 2 extracts, big fights, and a great finish.
Yeah, really interesting to see Larry the Carry kind of start in that admin side, not really try and elect to take some of those early fights, and then rotate down towards the south and be that third team to play spoiler, where you watch them take down Team Delta Fix that are there. And the fact that they kind of get some early shots onto Team Stickinson and then are able to really kind of hunt them down, right? You have one player who's able to get on out, cool, and you let your duo just say, hey, run wild, be some dogs, go ahead, attack them, and you're at least able to bring down the other 2 players from Team Stickinson. A really interesting sort of rotation for them to be able to move, to really use a lot of that map to their advantage.
Yeah, a really good shout. And I saw some folks talking about it in the chat. Yes, Dandra and I did intentionally match with our shirts. Let's take a quick look back on the replays and the highlights from that one. A fun map, a fast-paced map, and frankly, just a fast map in general. 16 minutes on the clock means everybody had to move quick. And what I'm really curious about is one thing I didn't notice. I'll be curious if we can pick it up in the replays. Obviously, Stickinson's team was able to hit both of those airdrops. So much value on that. It was Larry the Carry's team, though, that perfectly played the third party, perfectly played the backside to win this fight between this pinched squad in the middle, Delta Fix, and the team at the top. And of course, we had this crazy fight over at the Dam Extract on the north side of the map that Team Tyson wins because they early rotate. My big question is, was Star Baxter the one player that got the AWM and then they're the one player that got out for the team? Or was the AWM somewhere on the ground and it gets lost in this first map? I don't know.
I would really hope that if you were going to send one player by themselves and not have all 3 committed for this fight, they were going to be able to get out with, of course, that AWM, man. Because if you left it on one of these players, I mean, you are going to be kicking yourself. You had all of the loot value for your team, and then you kind of just opted to basically, I'm going to say, throw it away, right?
Yeah.
At the end. So at least hopefully maybe make some smarter decisions. But for Team Larry the Carry, though, I think they are walking away with some very good high value loot, and they're going to be setting themselves up great for our first Mandlebrick round on bracket.
Yeah, I'm gonna get word. I think looking at those replays, I think there's a chance that maybe Star Baxter didn't even make it. I could see the game timer, and it was really dang close. And it looks like the extraction had about 5 seconds left when the game timer hit 0. I'll get confirmation from the back end and all of our scores to double check on that, but that could be a massive miss. And frankly, a miss that could have been avoided by just a slightly faster decision from that team. When things started going awry and they had no time left, they needed to move, and they needed to move, frankly, quicker, get punished for it. A lot to break down, a lot in the safe boxes as well. We'll take a look at the scores when we come back from a very short break. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 right around the corner.
Chaos. It is the improvisation of fate. Chaos. The art of breaking free from the confines of reality. When the raven cries, millions of wings will tear the night apart.
Claire, time to escort the Raven.
The time has come.
To the lower cell!
Do you read poetry, my friend? For it tells us not what has happened, but what is going to happen.
Your mission is to rescue an inmate with intel on Skynet, so why start a riot?
Don't look at me, mate. I was working on the toilet.
Track him down and contact Zoya.
A divine messenger has guided me to your rescue. You are free.
No. Firstly, it wasn't a divine messenger. Just a little birdie. Secondly, I've always been free. You're the ones trapped in order.
Inmates have taken the control room and activated tidal defense system.
It's all part of this madman's plan!
That guy doesn't look like he's asking for help.
Zoya was tricked by a birdie.
The guests have arrived. Now let the chaos thicken! Then, Mythor. The air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen sensor, swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor.
GTI. Watch out! There's hallucinogens in the smoke!
Luna!
Luna?
Wretch, I cried. These forces lent thee by these spirits it had sent thee.
No!
Quoth the raven, nevermore. Don't. They'll feel the blade of betrayal pierce their hearts just as I have.
Tidal lock defense protocol fully engaged. Area is on the brink of complete
I don't know what's
submersion.
going on between you two, but we gotta pull out. Now!
Order, the formula of fate. And chaos, fate's writing poetry.
Welcome back to the Delta Force Elite Invitational. This is the European region. Game 1 was a fast one, and I gotta say, I'm a big fan of Zero Dam. Dan, what'd you think about Zero Dam? Obviously fast-paced towards the end.
Yeah, I think I really liked a lot of the action that we saw, right? And what was better to me was necessarily, it felt like it was thought out action, right? It wasn't just one team really running around and happening to run into a team and try and take that fight. For Team Tyson, right, they make that decision up there in admin just to kind of block that extraction. And obviously their patience comes to fruition. They do a great job holding on in. They eliminate that team who's trying to also get to that extraction, take all their loot, and you're able to get on out of there with a relatively easy 0 dam. For Team Stickinson, though, it was all about their thoughtful aggression, right? They take down that one team at the airdrop, they get all of that loot, and then they try and manage to sandwich Delta Fix, but unfortunately for them, they're just not quick enough on the exit because it's Team Larry the Carry that kind of gets the last laugh, it feels like, being able to take down those 2 members. We're kind of sitting here questioning, where is this AWM? Was it able to be on that player on the extract? Did that player even extract? Is it still on the ground in 0 dam? Like, it just feels like it got so mixy at the end there. A lot of mistakes from some of our teams.
Yeah, that is such a great shout, Dan. It really was a lot of chaos towards the end, and frankly, more this time than we saw in the Delta Force Global League around those airdrops, because the airdrops are extremely valuable, and I think this Stickinson squad realized that, played around that, A, because of, hey, guess what, you know, this is where we spawned, but B, because since they're in the area, they know how much value are in those airdrops. And I think the thing to remember when we do get a chance to look at this leaderboard is that it's total assets. If you did not extract, you only gain what you gain from your safe box, plus our per map compensations to make sure you're not totally broke as a joke going into the next one. But there's a ton of value from these couple teams that were able to loot a lot. Even Stickinson squad, who did die and potentially none of them get out, they did still get some really good loot that they were able to put in their safe box. Even if the AWM stayed in 0 dam, we saw a bunch of gold loot, a bunch of red loot, a ton of stuff lighting up our feed on the right hand side that is going to make a huge difference for some of these squads.
Well, and let's also remember too, we're getting 300k Technic alloy for every elimination. So for Team Stickinson, it's like, yeah, maybe you didn't get out with all the loot you wanted to. I think we saw at least, what, 4 or 5 eliminations happen during that map for that team. So you're looking at potentially another 1.5 mil in just kills alone. Same thing for Team Larry the Carry. And when I kind of say that, I'm also thinking about Team Tyson as well. I mean, yes, they only managed to take down 1 full squad, but bringing down those 3 players, that's 900k you add to your total, right? So not a bad sort of map number 1 from them either. Yeah. And I think there's sort of this increase that we have from, of course, our kind of global league that we had last weekend, where it was only 150k per elimination. It puts a little bit more onus that's saying, hey, there's actually some reward for getting aggro here, that we can do this strat of load up 1 player with all of our high value loot, and then we can just kind of maybe try and go on a little bit of a killing spree just to kind of really get that value on the back end when it comes to in between our rounds.
Yeah, I love that breakdown. The other thing that's really fun to talk about with our first map, because like I said, the litmus test, the kind of test to see how fast things are going to move, is also watch the different strategies of the players. It's not just us watching that. I know all of our teams are watching that as well. Let's take a quick look at the scores, though. There's a lot to break down on this brand new scoreboard, and let's see what our total loot values are. At the bottom, the white number is what they gained from that map. That does include the per map compensations. That does also include eliminations. So you're going to see most everybody most of the time go positive until the later rounds when they're bringing in crazy kits. However, Team Tyson's team is actually the squad that comes out on top at the end of the day, which is hilarious. After all of that, they're the team that I was going to say their playstyle is much slower, much more strategic, calculated to play the extraction early. They win their 1 fight, they loot up extremely fast, and then get out of the map the quickest. And they're the ones that are on top, just barely over Team Larry the Carry there, Dan. That's wild.
Yeah, I know. I think if you're Team Tyson right now, you're looking at this leaderboard thinking, hey, we probably played arguably the safest, and somehow we came out on top at the end of the day. And the thing that I'm also looking at here, Goj, is that when we look at our operator choices as well, they bring in operators that, yeah, you're really okay using on 0 dam, right? Bringing in that Alluru, and of course the Toxic as well. Like, so it's like, all right, great. So we didn't invest our high value operators. We managed to get out with the most amount of value that was here. You're setting yourself up great for this brackish Mandlebrick round that's right there, because you are able to be on top of Team Larry the Carry. Who, what did they do in that map 1? Rotated through 3/4 of the map. We're in constant fights. They brought in a fair amount of operators as well. So it's kind of like, all right, you played a little bit safe. You're managing to still stay top of the boards. I think that Team Tyson had a very, very good map number 1 that's there. The thing that is a little bit bothering me though is that Team Delta Fix. We can see them down there at the bottom, only 3.3 million in total value that was there, and they did bring in some high value operators into that first Zero Dam, mainly the Luna and the Stinger as well, not really getting the value that you're hoping for when you bring in some of those high value operators.
A great breakdown and a great shout. Obviously Team Tyson, they do use a Viren, and Team Larry the Carry also uses a Viren, but you're right, not having to use and invest a Luna. We all know how really strong Luna is. Information is everything in operations. To be able to play the strategy they did, it almost felt like because they didn't have a Luna, that's why they went to the extraction early, played really slow. They didn't need the information, they had the power position. A great shout there. And yeah, this is pretty standard for the most part for some of the other teams. We have oftentimes seen our Stingers get invested pretty early in the competition just because you're able to save some value, which is nice. But let's take a look at our overall MVP race. MVPs changed a little bit from the Delta Force Global League. We're now just tracking total kills. Whoever has the most kills at the end of the competition is going to be our MVP. No extra prizing, but definitely some extra ego boosts. And Stickinson, having grabbed all 4 kills for his squad, absolutely is at the top of the leaderboard with Tyson and Minda999 right behind as well. But Stickinson, big congrats to you, man. 4 kills in the first one's fantastic. That's 1.2 mil just for Stickinson alone as an individual out of kill value. That's a huge value add.
And I think what's crazier is, let's remember, of those 4 kills, all 3 of them were the entirety of Team TJ Skipper that was there, right? So maybe feel a little good about that. But hey, Zero Dam done and dusted. Coach, let's get ready to head to Brackish. And what's more importantly, though, it's our first Mandlebrick round.
Yeah, this is such an important round. This is going to set the tone for a lot. I mean, there is a chance, based on what could happen on this map and the fights that happen on this map, there is a chance no one gets a Mandlebrick, which will open up this leaderboard and continue to make sure it's sorted off of total assets. But if one team gets this Mandlebrick, if they decode this thing, they're going to be at the top of the leaderboard no matter what the rest of the leaderboard looks like. And I think as we are about to hop into Brackish and see this first Mandlebrick round, I want to remind some people at home that maybe didn't see Delta Force Global League on how this works. The Mandlebrick is going to work traditionally like a normal public match, if you've seen that. The Mandlebrick, though, if you haven't seen it, it gives you basically a threat level warning when you're carrying it. It's almost like a little most wanted bounty where you can kind of see where everybody's at on the map. If there's somebody close to you, it's going to give you a threat bar. However, it also marks you on the map for everyone. So they are going to see where you are at any given time for that personal Mandlebrick carrier. Now, the timing is something that we've got to keep in mind with Brackish. Mandlebrick is a funny thing because you can't grab it in the first 2 minutes. When you grab it, you're marked. But once you've grabbed that Mandlebrick from its original spawn location, it will respawn to that spawn location after 6 minutes if it is not put into a decoding station. So that's our first timer. 6 minutes is how long you have to put it into a decoding station. Once it's put into the decoding station, it takes 4 minutes to decode. If any team steals the decode, it will reduce that timer by 30 seconds. One more timer to remember, though. If this timer ever gets below 2.5 minutes and gets stolen, it always resets to 2.5 minutes on the clock. So we'll continue to talk about that as we get into the game. Lots to remember, but the key to remember is that no matter what the timer is at on the decoding, if you steal it, it goes to 2.5 if it's below 2.5 to start, which means we could see the game clock be shorter than the decoding clock, which means nobody's getting that brick.
Yeah, really got to play some defense if you're going to be one of these squads that tries and go for a Mandlebrick capture. We've seen it time and time again, right? In these events, looking great. They're playing some good defense, and just at the last moment, it's somebody will sneak their way, able to kind of reset that decoder, and then all of a sudden, like that, out of nowhere, right? But already we're starting to see some movement on the map.
Wait,
I think I'm just seeing TJ Skipper squad off drop some of the Tower of Babel. What is going on?
Yeah, I was so focused on the Mandlebrick and talking about the timers that we have 4 teams that just giga rushed at the Tower of Babel. And of course, that means 2 teams ran into each other on that southeastern side. TJ Skipper is going to be in the lobby for a while, figuring out what they're bringing into map number 3 back onto Brackish. And I think they'll think twice about rushing this spawn. And that was a crazy way to start this one. Mandlebrick on the map, but TJ Skipper, not.
Yeah, I legitimately thought, you know, because I was right there with you, so locked in on just looking at the map, seeing the spawns, what was going on. I heard shots going out. I thought that was against some NPCs that was going on. And then I'm looking at the kill feed. I'm like, wait, no, that's the entirety of Team TJ Skipper. And already very quickly, we're going to see Team Larry the Carry yet again kind of go up against Team Stickinson. The Luna potentially going to give you the information that you're looking for. A couple shoulders getting thrown as you're throwing shots down range between these two teams. But a flash coming in over the top. You got to back on up, wait for that to go on down.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough fight. I actually like Stickinson's position a little bit better. They've got a couple better angles to work with, especially this kind of jiggle peek that Kaiser could potentially footsteps, though, swinging around the other side. You know, foot loud in this game, especially depending what gear you're bringing in. It does look like Larry the Carry and Co. also in a lot of that gold armor. And it actually looks like Stickinson's squad is on the other side of two teams, like we had mentioned on that mini-map. It's Adderson's team in purple gear that are immediately in trouble. And guess what? This is probably going to be the signal flare for both of these teams. Adderson's squad knows they're down a player who got fulled, and it is the captain down. The problem with this is twofold. One, you're at a player disadvantage. They do grab the body, dolphin dive in, scoop it up, and hopefully get the res. And I think this signal flare of we push this to make sure that we get the fulls is actually being thwarted because they know there's a threat of Larry the Carry's team third partying on the backside. We could see Adderson's squad actually get that revival.
I think it's a good call from them just to be able to try and not get too aggro this early on. Mandlebrick comes on through, so that'll be here on the map. We'll keep our eyes on that, but for right now, a couple of teams just deciding to maybe throw shots down range. Nobody really wants to fully commit to either of these fights just yet. And I think it's just some respect being given down here at the Tower of Babel between our three teams. So if you are TJ Skipper, you're probably watching this saying, why did nobody respect us when we tried to go for this early fight? But it seems like now there's enough space for these three teams to sort of orbit each other if they need to for the time being.
Yeah, and that was best case scenario for Adderson's team. The fact that Larry the Carry squad was in the area is a huge boon for them. Solid loot here on main. Nothing crazy, but nothing too shabby. We'll take what we can get. It's a quick reminder, in the Tower of Babel, there is an extraction point. Ooh, and off screen, it looks like Adderson's actually found the fossil worth 347K. I know there's a lot of, I had a lot of conversation with chat, I think, in the Delta Force Global League, debating the cost of the fossil. Guess what? I got Delta Force to show us exactly how much every time it's looted. So 347K, no more debate.
A very petty way to prove that you're right. Get the game developers to exactly add in the thing you're trying to say. That's some immense power. I respect it, my friend. We can see Team Tyson here already in this map, continuing to hold on to that lead, but just only for a small amount of time. For Team Delta Fix, though, just kind of looking across, just trying to see if they can maybe get eyes on another squad that's near them, because yeah, they're not too far away from another team either. So it's like we have these like two teams, Team Tyson, Team Delta Fix here on the north side. Everybody else, the other three teams, just kind of hanging out in this Tower of Babel. The thing that's I'm looking at here, Goj, that's kind of noting me is that Team Delta Fix, they kind of have control of this Mandlebrick if they want to go for some early plays with it. I think I'd rather see them maybe if they can take down Team Tyson, this is going to open up the map for them, and you might have an opportunity to just secure this Mandlebrick nice and early.
Yeah, you can see the three different decoding stations they could potentially take it to if they decide to go for it. I would obviously, based on the information we have, Asara Camp probably the best of those options in terms of getting it down. But Stickinson's squad also knows these decoding stations. They check reservoir area. Obviously, they would know if somebody had picked it up already. Nobody's there, so they're going to probably head north and potentially play around this brick. As they swing up towards camp, I'll be really curious to see what this team does. The closest decoding station is obviously going to be that midwest side of the map, but it is probably the most open as well. So I'm not a huge fan of that one unless you've cleared out this side of the map and you want to get it down as fast as possible. We'll continue to pay attention to this clock as two teams fighting each other for a while, nice and slow. Nobody making their error first. The Stickinson squad, they rotate in, and we might see a different group of three teams fight. And actually, take a look at the bottom of our screen. Larry the Carry also absconded out of the Tower of Babel. Fun to watch. Could see 4 on the brick to start.
Yeah, I mean, Adderson being the only team left in the Tower of Babel, I mean, I think they'll maybe get, you know, at least any scraps of loot that are still there. I do wonder if they maybe just say, hey, we want to maybe take this round, not even worry about the Mandlebrick, knowing that some of our top teams are going to be playing around it? Do they just try and, I don't know, maybe get out before they even have to worry about the Mandlebrick? I don't know if I necessarily love that, but it is a strategy.
Yeah.
The other 4 squads, though, it's some fast rotates. And for Team Stickinson, they had that early engagement at the Tower of Babel, kind of feeling lucky that they made it out of there without losing a player in the meantime. But now you've kind of rolled on up to a couple of different squads. I'm getting some deja vu from game number 1. As it looks like Delta Fix kind of being the team to find themselves in between a number of our squads.
Yeah, as per the usual, patience is a virtue until you find the perfect angle. Talk to some of the players often, and whoo, ideology just almost goes down. The players always talk about, all we care about is not scamming. Don't scam, don't scam. I hear that in many games, but in this one, it's just about picking the right corner at the right time, or the wrong corner at the wrong time. And it looks like everyone now getting into the mix. Adderson, the only exception to that rule, and I think you're right. I think they could play extremely slow, even if it's just wait till somebody puts that thing in the decoding station, then rotate up. Coming in late is actually not a bad option. But that threat level warning on the Mandlebrick's not going to help anybody. There's so many people close by. That thing is going to be lit up like a Christmas tree.
See some early shots going out from Kaiser. Some of that player kind of poking their head out through the window. Burn some of the resources from Team Delta Fix in front of you. For right now, it's just everybody, I think, just kind of just waiting for somebody to make the first move. What is going to be the first mistake that happens? And like you were saying, it's basically what team is going to be the first to scam is what happens. Because you can see just barely on your screen, thanks to our X-ray vision, we have, of course, another player that's just below these 2 squads as well. So if you maybe get into an early tussle, you try and maybe jump out the window, go from a different lower angle, you're not going to be as safe as maybe you thought you were. Still a lot of time, though, here on the map, but kind of curious. Does anybody start trying to make their way towards that Mandlebrick and get this decoding started?
There's a couple things in the area. I know some folks have done the Dr. Prometheus operation in the past. Just to get some extra cash. Does look like our yellow squad is on the other side. But right now, it's just an information game and a waiting game. Unfortunately, you don't have a crazy amount of time. And I think Larry the Carry's team knows it. They're going to actually move into the museum here and get into the mix. It looks like grenades coming through from a couple different teams. Who's going to open up this fight first? I really like the Suniva operator. This is traditionally an operator that most people use in warfare more often than operations. But in this format, it is actually so valuable for being able to peek these corners and not risk just getting one tapped. Obviously, they can shoot your toes, but most people aren't centered on the ground.
Well, we're also looking at exactly this moment right here where it's you are inside. You are clearing corners. It is CQB all the way through. Being able to have that shield, even just kind of be like tip of the spear, gain a lot of that aggro and let your teammates shoot above you if they need to is going to be such a valuable play to make happen. So the fact that they're able to kind of stay up there and just kind of push their way on out some of these doorways is huge. For Team Larry the Carry, they're going to be down below though. Well, one team has the Suniva to work with. We watched Warren earlier kind of put that Luna to use, and I think this is one of those scenarios as well where if they could just find an angle, the Luna could give them all the information they need. As for Team Delta Fix, they are relatively kind of grouped on up. You have 2 players playing together, one a little bit more isolated, but it just seems like everybody hanging on for a moment. I now don't have to get too nervous just yet.
Nine minutes on the clock. On the left, that's going to be our overall leaderboard as of right now. Tyson's team's still technically at the top by about 1 million, but that can change very quickly if you're not careful. And this is probably the slowest Brackish I've seen, which is just these teams understanding the assignment. Just, we can't die.
I think what's so fun too is that like while we've watched these 3 teams just basically hovering around the Mandlebrick, gotta give some credit to Team Adderson. We watched them get in that early scuffle down there at the Tower of Babel. They're now 2nd in our total assets. It seems like they've just said, hey, while everybody else wants to hang out in this one building, guess what we're gonna do? Just run around the map. And it seems like Team Tyson kind of in a similar situation as well. We see them pick up that disc.
Yeah.
Nice little 229,000 added to their stuff as well. And I just think that's the two teams realizing, okay, maybe we don't even have to worry about the Mandlebrick this round. We just go ahead, at least spend our time maybe being useful, not just, I don't know, maybe hanging out in some hallways.
I mean, I think it's the right call. This fight just taking so long that you're missing out on a lot of time that you could be looting potentially, but they're going to go for it. Stickinson's team's going to grab the brick first. It looks like they're going to make a move here. Through the smoke we go. We grab the brick. It takes only a few seconds, and now we're on the run. We got a 5-minute timer on it. Now looking. I'll be looking at the top middle of our screen right now because we got 7.5 minutes. We grab the brick and we run, folks. We do not have a lot of time, and we got to get to this decoding station as fast as humanly possible. We know there's likely going to be a couple trades on the decoding station, so we got to get that thing on the decoding station as fast as possible and try to set up as fast as possible. And you can tell, at the bottom left, hazard level 1, we've just sprinted for our lives away from all of our opponents, and now everybody else is trying to answer. You can see Larry the Carry being slow to leave, but it's DeltaFix already on the hunt, pushing towards that decoding station. And it looks like Stickinson's squad does have a matter of probably 20 more seconds to get set up however they want to. And now it's a king of the hill. It's a fight for this decoding station.
Well, and I like where Team Tyson is kind of set up right now, Coach. They can kind of move on in. They can play third party to this decoder. And then if they're not enjoying it, if they think that maybe it's not a fight worth taking, they have the extract to their back as well. They've obviously gained a lot of loot in this game, and I think they're feeling that like, hey, all right, we can maybe just kind of make this decision of, do we play spoiler to another team, but then at the last second possible, can we kind of rotate back out to this extraction point? Because nobody else is going to be able to rotate around to the back. They can just basically draw this line on the sand on the map and ensure that nobody gets between them and their objective that they're going to go ahead and have. For Team Stickinson, though, like you mentioned, they are already here on this decoder. They're trying to make it happen. Ideologist moves on in, and you're seeing the Siniva shield come out, and it's looking great. Stickinson, though, he is just lighting it up. If possible, get over here is what Ideologist says. Little quick smackdown with the shield. Gonna put you in the corner and just absolutely stun you to death. Oh my gosh, what a fantastic play.
What a way to use Siniva. Hits the grapple, beats him down, trades him out. It does look like DeltaFix has lost a player, though, in the meantime, but they trade Stickinson out. This is utter ruination for the Stickinson squad. You'd see Kaiser, the last remaining player for this team, does have an angle, but can't quite hit shots from this angle. Is going to have to back up. DeltaFix now has the decoding station. Take a look at it. It is a trade of 1, so DeltaFix is going to be in a 2v1 against Kaiser, but they have the power position on the decoding station. 3 minutes on the clock on the decoding. It's going to be top middle. Continue to draw your eyes up there and watch these two timers.
I like this. Kaiser playing from the top, using everything in their disposal if they can. Flash goes on out. Just trying to maybe back down Ideologists. You see the res come in from the bottom, so DeltaFix gets brought back on up. Core first down there as well. Kaiser has to go huge here. Just a great passage of play from that Siniva.
Uh-oh.
Look who's here! I'm just coming to say hello! Oh, no.
Blue Eagle.
Not what you want to have happen.
I swear, there is a dev up there with a remote control piloting this thing every time. Kaiser has a perfect high ground position. He's like Aladdin trouncing through the tops of the tents, and it doesn't matter because Blue Eagle's there to spoil the day. Has to back off and get inside, and all of a sudden, we've got about 2 minutes on the clock. As DeltaFix goes down in, there's actually a trade. Kaiser finds an angle. Wow. Uses the distraction. Takes down 1. Is going to go for the steal here. Going to take a little bit of heat from Blue Eagle and then going to move on his merry way. He does steal and now is sprinting to cover. And right now is safe. Has reset the timer. DeltaFix's squad not fully eliminated, but down to 1 player with 1 player on a yellow timer, I believe. This is such an interesting fight for the Mandlebrick. Now between 2 individuals with their teammates down.
Well, and while this was going on, I don't know if you saw in the kill feed, we saw Tyson and Larry the Carry battling it on out. I saw a couple of trades going on there. So there's a huge fight going here around the Mandlebrick, and not even near the Mandlebrick is a whole other squad that's just trying to battle. And you're starting to see some of those reses come on through for Team Larry the Carry. And it's Team Adderson. It's been the only squad that hasn't really been involved at all. But they're going to maybe start making their way through the map. You can see already, looks like Team Tyson had 1 player who was able to hit the extract, but you lost 2 in the process. That was there. Delta Fix, you got 1 player still alive as well. Stickinson, you got 1 player alive and 2 to be revived, and I think that's exactly what they're trying to go ahead and do. A great position for them. Huge shout out to Kaiser being able to steal that Mandlebrick back and being able to use Blue Eagle as a little bit of cover for you.
Yeah, you can see the position as well. Team able to rechow that after taking so much damage. Okay, now we're getting really close, and actually we are at the point where this cannot be stolen again. They have traded blows, and we found an angle. Kaiser again, perfect timing, and will get there in time and actually be able to steal, I think, in just the nick of time. Look at this, gonna reset to 2 minutes, and here's our overall clock at 2 minutes, and then our game clock at 2 minutes and 20 seconds and counting. Just enough time. And's gonna get the revive. What a way to play this one. And Dan, a great call out from you. Addison Squad said, hey guys, we found 5.1 mil on this map alone. We are getting out of this lobby ASAP.
Are they going to be able to do it for free, though? Because, look, they've been able to reset. They're trying to maybe take the battle to another squad. Yet again, Larry the carry pushing on forward. You have 5 seconds left on this extract. You're running out into the open, right into the sights of Extreme. He lets the shot fly, able to bring down 2. Larry is going to try and back on up. The drone swarm being an absolute nuisance to him. He'll be able to get the teammates back on up, but oh my gosh, Team Adderson doing a great job just walking out pockets loaded.
Yeah, that was just perfect timing too. Addison Squad gets to the extract early. There's only 10 seconds left on the clock, so it forced Larry the carries team to basically just close their eyes and sprint at you, which caused you to A, get 2 full kills, which they were able to pick up 1 revive, but that'll count towards your total. And all 3 get out. They didn't lose a single person in that engagement because the time advantage they had. 5.1 mil. Adderson Squad was in last place going into this map, and now they're going to be near the top, if not at the top, aside from Stickinson. Because look at this Mandlebrick. 24 seconds and counting. Game clock at 56. And I think, I was going to say, you picked the wrong corner, my friend. There's only one place that they can get flanked from. And Star Baxter, back on his feet, is holding that angle.
10 seconds left on this decoding right now, and Star Baxter, little bit of a shoulder peek. It might be too much. That is there. It is going to be a Mandlebrick, though, for Team Stickinson. First one that we have in our map set. A great sort of clutch up from Kaiser. I got to give, you know, we're tracking MVPs based on kills, but if I'm giving an MVP of the match, it's going to Kaiser for certain. You don't even care, I guess, if you lose 2 players in this fight, because you've already done what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's another boon for Stickinson Squad, just that kill alone. Obviously, these 2 players not going to get out of the map. We've got 6 seconds on the clock. That is game 1 over. They don't get out, but they get some extra kills. A big map for them. And of course, no matter what the score is, no matter how many assets Adderson Squad was able to get out with, Team Stickinson going to be in first place overall, the first team to capture the Mandlebrick.
Feeling very good if you are Team Stickinson. You mentioned it there, Team Adderson. Okay, great. You managed to get out of there with a huge amount of value. But we're getting ready to go into map number 3, Coach, where there's no Mandlebrick there yet again. So it's like, what are you going to do with all this value that you just managed to secure? You're really banking on that map number 4. But I got to roll back the tape here on that map because there was just so much action that happened to it. From TJ Skipper getting pushed immediately off the rip to obviously just this huge stall that happens around the Mandlebrick. And then finally, it was Team Stickinson who's going to be able, the first ones to go ahead and grab that Mandlebrick, and it was all said and done, capture it all the way through. Some great moments through that map number 2.
Yeah, and this is the beginning opening fight. Unreal to see the amount of value that Team Adderson was able to get, not only getting a wipe there on Skipper's squad, but also, even though they lost one, they were able to back up out of this fight because there's multiple people in the Tower of Babel, and that threat of a third party was just too much to push someone that you had down. And then apparently today, fortune favors the bold. It's Stickinson Squad that snags the Mandlebrick, and they go off to the races. I mean, they're literally running a 100-meter dash all the way over to the decoding station. Throw it down, and then Delta Fix gets into the mix. And this is one of my favorite clips of this competition thus far. Suniva operator go crazy. We hit those, we bring them over, we get the knock. And we thought it was going to be a Delta Fix take here, because Kaiser, yes, had a high ground position, was able to grab one, but Blue Eagle comes in, plays spoiler. He uses that for the trade, and here's this look over the top, just picks up both and forces his opponent to back off. The brick exchanges hands, I think 3 or 4 times between these two teams. But off screen, this is the fight we were looking at. Karenko almost gets the better of his opponents. That's Larry the Carry's team with a push from a Virant operator ability. But it was all about playing around this extraction, Dandro. And yet again, Adderson, they basically have proven that map 1 was a fluke, because map 2, they crushed it, getting out with almost 8 million in total assets by the end. That's where they're going to be on the leaderboard. Just a gigantic map from them, several kills to boot. And then the final fight here, just a couple, you know, there's another 300, 600K in total being added to Stickinson's total, just in case somebody else gets a Mandlebrick later.
Yeah, but great job from Team Stickinson to be able to grab that Mandlebrick, and then like you mentioned, just some extra added value at the end with just some of those kills. So this is where this competition just really comes alive, right? Because on one hand, we have Team Stickinson, who's able to grab that Mandlebrick, and even if they don't have the value they wanted, they now have a leg up on the entire rest of the lobby. On the other hand, we have Team Adderson, who just, they take their time and escape with a lot of value to set themselves up beautifully for some of these maps moving on forward. So you just kind of come down to this risk versus reward right there, where it's saying, hey, for one squad, they don't even want to touch the Mandlebrick. They're just saying, let us get on out of here with our value. We'll let all of you fight it on out.
Yeah, and I don't hate this strategy from Adderson's squad. A, just thinking about where they're on the map and what value they could find in Tower of Babel. But B, they're going to be stacked, especially if they have a decent next map. They're going to be stacked going into game 4 and potentially then play much more aggressive for the brick. Time will tell, though. Their strategies, I'm sure they've been talking a ton about them. Everybody learning on the fly. Some folks have been studying for weeks at this point, it feels like. But a lot of math behind the scenes. We're going to get the leaderboard all tallied up for you and show you where everybody's at. We know Stickinson's going to be at the top, but where does everybody else fall? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the short break. back. Delta Force Elite Invitational European region, and we've got our leaderboard ready to go after game 2. And this is where everybody has moved to. And obviously, Team Stickinson at the top, absolutely crushing it right now. Ton of loot value added just because of their kills and what they're able to put in their safe boxes, but also a Mandlebrick to boot. Come on now, this is a huge win.
Yeah, you are feeling very good if you are Team Stickinson, being able to not only obviously have that Mandlebrick, but also to be there on the total value as well. For Team Tyson though, hey, guess what? They're not too far behind. Not a great map necessarily total from them. They only come out with that really like plus 200,000 that is there. But either way, you're still feeling good being in second. For Team Delta Fix, you can see on the other side 5.6 mil to their name, and well, they're still looking pretty good on the operator front, and that's really what's kind of jumping out to me. For our top 2 teams, they've burned through some operators. For Team Delta Fix, though, they've been very, it feels like just hanging on to maybe some things in their back pocket, maybe looking to have some strats here in our maps later on.
Yeah, this is a fun conversation on this leaderboard about several different things, but I think one of the things we have to mention is, of course, operator usage. This is so interesting watching the different strategies from each of our teams. I mean, look, even just compare Team Tyson. You were talking about this, Dan, like compare Team Tyson to Team Delta Fix. The exact opposite strategies from these two teams. Team Tyson said, we're going to use these 3 operators twice in a row, and we won't use them the rest of this tournament. Whereas Team Delta Fix says, we're going to spread the love here. We're going to keep our options open because the tournament landscape can change.
Yeah, and I mean, if you are Team Tyson as well, if you look at the 3 operators that they used, right? Like, these feels pretty good operators, you know, to have go out early, right? You have the Toxic and the Uluru to get rid of. Sure, you'd love to have that Viren, right? To be able to break ankles, right? We have 300k for every elimination you get, and Viren is oftentimes going to be the operator that you're relying on to get some of those trades, to break the cameras, and be able to kind of go for those highlight plays, those highlight eliminations that you're looking for. But he's not the only person you can do that with, right? We know obviously maybe not nearly as good, but we know that some players do like to kind of go towards that D-Wolf to be able to use. We just watched Suniva in that last map really be able to go crazy by themselves as well. And especially when we talk about these Mandlebrick rounds, Suniva's going to be a character that we look to kind of go forward as well. So very curious. I'm also looking at Team Stickinson as well here, Goj, already in these first 2 maps, getting rid of that Stinger, already using it in map number 1 to find some of those early eliminations, keep your team alive. Game number 2 was really part of the MVP to stay alive, to use those smokes to kind of get on out of the rotation once they did manage to snag that Mandlebrick. So the fact they were able to grab the first Mandlebrick is great. What operators are going to be able to use in map number 4 once they get another Mandlebrick on the map?
Yeah, great breakdown, Dan. Such fun conversations. I love this new meta talk. And we gotta take a look at, obviously, the overall MVP race. Stickinson only able to pick up 1 kill in the last one, but the rest of the kills were spread evenly across the rest of our players. So Stickinson maintains position at the top, tied with Star Baxter, also from that same team. So looking pretty strong, this Stickinson squad, with 2 players in the race for the top individual Slayer, aka our MVP of the day, Dan.
Yeah, and I love that we see Extreme on this list as well to be able to be up there. Feel pretty good. So we just had our first map on Brackish Code. Now we're getting ready to move into map number 3, which is, well, Brackish yet again, just less bricks going on this time that we have happening here. So love that we are kind of coming back on in. We watched a lot of teams immediately try and land on in to the Tower of Babel. We watched TJ Skipper go down very early. I do wonder, do we see that team try and pick a different area of the map to play out of, or do they maybe try and get a little bit, get their lick back, you know? Can they find that early game, you know, elimination? Because if there's anybody who needs to kind of get back in this game, it is going to be Team TJ Skipper. Not a great map 1, not a great map 2. I don't know. This kind of feels like you're getting to that moment where you got to kind of go big or go home.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, you know, with Brackish coming up with no Mandlebrick, this is going to be the last time that you're going to be able to loot up any of those airdrops. It's going to be the last time there's not going to be a Mandlebrick on the map. So this really is an opportunity for you to get a ton of value for yourself, or potentially take a ton of value from some of our top teams. Team Stickinson can get real active here if they want to. They've already got a brick. They don't really care about this round that much. If they already have decent loot value as well. They've got good loot. They can bring in gold tier, everything that they want. They can kind of go crazy here. They could potentially go to just wipe as many squads as humanly possible, run around this map like lunatics. And if they can do that, it's going to be a huge boon going into round 4, where they can go in with an advantage and potentially take the next brick and win this whole tournament in 4, Dan. Who knows what's gonna happen? That's what I would do, though.
Dude, it's actually such like a like dirty strategy, but I love it. Just be like, hey, guess what? This round doesn't really matter to us. Next round, it doesn't super matter. I guess next round does matter, but like this round doesn't like super matter to us. So yeah, we're gonna bring in just what we think we can get kills with. And we're just gonna full run at everybody, try and do our best to get aggro and just maybe just be a nuisance. They don't even have to commit to the fight, right? Just throw shots down range, burn some consumables from some of these teams, and then just back out of a fight. Go camp some extraction points. Just go do whatever you want to do, man. Because I think for Team Stickinson, they have an opportunity to potentially maybe try and play spoiler to some of the other teams who have a lot of loot.
Yeah, I think it's a good shot, but we're getting into the game. Let's see what happens. Of course, no Mandlebrick this time around. So a quick look at the map, 20 minutes on the count. And you can see already a big fight about to break out at camp potentially as Adderson's squad is sprinting maybe towards Tower of Babel or maybe towards this fight. Either way, this could be TJ Skipper's opportunity. Already no.
Could be, or it couldn't be, or you are just losing everybody in the fight immediately. 2 go down, 3rd trying to run away, trying to get on the exit, and look who it is. It is the 3rd place MVP Extreme bringing you on down. This is just TJ Skipper. They had the right idea, right? They're in camp. They're on the other side of the map. They said, okay, we're going nowhere near Babel. Okay. Adderson deciding to say, hey, we smell blood in the water, baby. We're pushing on over here. We're taking you out.
That is that's wild. I'm not gonna lie. That's one way to start this thing off. Adderson's team has no respect for TJ Skipper, just sprints at them, wipes them immediately. And that is the nature, and I mean this in the best way, that is kind of the nature of reading the rule book. It is part of the system. Like, you got to look at that rule book and say, hey, I know where the spawns are. They're all dictated. If I can potentially sprint at this person before they can get moving, before they decide to move, huge value there. And then if you're the other team, you say, hey, I know their spawns fairly close to each other. I gotta get rolling right as I spawn in, and they get punished immediately again.
Yeah, that is just so tough. And one thing that we didn't get to really even talk about in that last game, because it was just so action-packed, was with one team getting eliminated basically immediately off rip, it does open up the map for some of our other squads to really be able to maneuver around here. Because we saw when they went down at the Tower of Babel, we had those 3 teams just sitting obviously around the Mandlebrick in the middle. It was like really only 2 other squads who was just kind of going in and trying to get all of their loot out. We saw obviously Team Adderson just basically had the entire map to loot up as they wanted to. Go ahead, hit that extract, get a couple licks on Team Larry the Carry before they head on out, and they're feeling a-okay. They're doing great. So I think for a lot of our squads here, now that there is no Mandlebrick, the map is a little bit more wide open, we could just see more opportunity to grab those high value loot items and get on out of here.
A good shout. And you can see assets obtained. That's from this match alone. So Team Tyson's already found 2.1 mil, which is pretty impressive, around 2 million. Again, that's the nature of the Tower of Babel, baby. There's so much value, and gee whiz, this is a look, by the way. Take a look at the left-hand side. We just swapped this over. This is our total right now. So what we actually showed a moment ago on that leaderboard was actually that 5.11 mil that they looted. Adderson's squad looted. That was not their total. We got them updated, got some screenshots in, and this is their total overall. They're at 12 million total assets after 3 games. Really strong overall leaderboard there on the left-hand side. But it's worth mentioning, again, they're not rank 1 because Stickinson's squad does have that Mandlebrick.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a nice thing to be able to know, at least, that you have all of this value. And here's the reality here, Coach, that even if they go down very early in this map, they still have so much value obtained that they should be feeling pretty okay to kind of get their gear back on up if they need to go into that next Mandlebrick round. So for here, they don't have to do anything crazy. You got a lot of value in that last game. You can play safe. You can do what you need to do. It looks like for right now, they are just going to try and go ahead and try and hang out down here at the Tower of Babel. You have 2 other squads near you, Delta Fix, and of course Tyson also hanging out as well. So for right now, it's basically a party in the tower. You have Team Larry the Carry. They're kind of slowly making their way through the loading area on the left side. And for Team Stickinson, it looks like they're just going to hold this middle of the map, hold the line, not really trying to allow anybody to kind of maybe play this northern side if possible.
Take a look at Team Larry the Carry. Here they come. One of the piece of this proverbial action that I think they may hear all from the distance right now is it actually looks like Adderson's squad in the mix right now have found an angle to knock one on Tyson's team. This could be the signal flare to move. There's a lot of folks in the area and finds another angle. Holy cow, just the wrong peak at the wrong time. Adderson's squad goes crazy. Extreme picking up the final kill. A big team wipe for them, especially because Team Tyson was doing so well at maintaining good loot. This is a giant knock, a chink in their armor, literally, on what they're going to be able to bring in going into the next brick round.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a little bit of an interesting decision just to immediately go for the res in that moment, right? You have one player get knocked, sure, you're relying on that player kind of playing the wide swing to maybe find some sort of kill, but the reality is you're leaving them in an island. It's a 3v1. They just immediately get roasted, and it's a player that surges on forward and takes down the last final third. A very clean fight for Team Adderson. We have to obviously showcase that, because it's oftentimes we see sometimes these fights take a long time to develop. You're kind of pushing in, pushing out, trying to find a different angle. Where do you want to go ahead and push this from? For Team Adderson, it was, okay, you're scamming. We're going to make you pay for it, and then we're going to absolutely bull rush you down. Have fun. You'll be in the next lobby.
Yeah, it's a really good chat. And this is just a really experienced team. I know all of these players grind a lot. I see Adderson live, I think, every day for like hours upon hours grinding this game. Obviously got a great team behind him as well. So watch out for that team. They're way up there in the total asset leaderboard right now. Looks like Stickinson's squad also in the mix, finding a gold bar off screen. A little 331K. We take that every day of the week. Again, Stickinson's team, they could have gone hyper aggro. Let's risk it for the biscuit. But it looks like they're just trying to kind of hedge their bets right now, stack up as much loot as possible so that if a different team is able to grab a brick in the next round, they'll still be at the top in theory. The main team that can threaten them is going to be this Adderson squad, but Delta Fix going to make sure to pick up a couple of the AI and potentially make a play for this. You can see that our first extraction point is technically open already. I don't think anybody will take it, albeit Adderson squad, they have a decent amount of loot this game. I'd say around 2 to 3 million at this point already, especially after that team wipe. I don't think they're going to be getting out anytime soon. They want more.
Yeah, I mean, I think you maybe just try and really go for it. I love the call out that you just made for Team Stickinson, where, yeah, they're probably looking at this total asset board and saying, hey, if we go into this next game onto Space City, and if Team Adderson, if they're able to grab a Mandlebrick, all of a sudden, yeah, we're sitting top of the lobby right now. We are very quickly into second, and then by a large margin at that. So take this opportunity, try and manage to get your loot where you can. But Larry the Carry, they've moved on up here. And Team Adderson, looks like they have them in their sights. They're just trying to get in some of those shots. Shoulders coming on through, but Larry the Carry, see, just maybe playing this corner a little bit. Drones will come on out, and that's going to back up Extreme from that angle that he was holding. Adderson, it's getting a little bit spicy for them. Team Larry the Carry, can you find maybe a different angle to take this fight?
I think everybody just staying patient. Definitely going to need a different angle. I think one of the things we've seen from the Adderson squad and plenty of others, that even getting a knock, it is a signal flare. You can make a push, you can make a play. But having that player advantage, that does mean that you can hold one player on the back line holding the angle, so if they do repeat, you punish them. It's exactly what happened in the Tyson fight. The Adderson squad says, we can't really risk going down right now. We're going to swing out of here. Potentially just completely leave the Tower of Babel. It's looking like that's what's going to happen. The sniper battle on the other side. Delta Fix's squad. Daring down range it. I presume to be Larry the Carry's team potentially on the other side. The distance is far enough that it's not doing us any favors here. So we'll see if we do see the knock come through. That's why we love snipers on this map. Brackish, even more so on Space City. And it does look like it is Larry the Carry on the other side. A sniper battle has started.
Just trying to do his best. Ooh, a little bit of a hop up. And there you have it. Ideologist taken on down. Are you good for two? Just a little bit late on that shot, but you've already opened it up. You're watching this res come on through. I mean, I'm waiting for maybe another teammate to go on in. Across the way, and I like this. Warren immediately jumps to that high ground. See if you can use that AR to your advantage. You might just start to push on this bottom side, create a little bit of pressure from underneath while you have that sniper on the top side.
Yeah, it just gives you a moment of reprieve. be able to actually make a play, and that's where they're gonna do it, especially with Larry the Carry playing this off angle, the long angle while 2 swing up. They're actually going for the res. He's definitely calming to his team. Hey, they're resing right now, go for it. They get actually a nade up there, but it's a hair too late. And Deltafix is very impressively able to just stick this res in time. A slight miscue potentially from Team Larry the Carry. And now if they take this fight incorrectly, which they might, we have an angle on this left side. They've got to know that there's an angle here. We lose one. This is a 3v1 now on this far side with, I assume, Larry the Carry trying to catch back up and play this backside angle. They could try to sandwich this team, but I really don't like the way this fight was played by Larry the Carry's team. I think just a hair of a miscommunication.
Okay, for Minda, though. You catch Core on the window. It's some great shots. Ideologist has managed to hit from a different side. Minda trying to be able to go huge in these moments. You're seeing Ideologist here on the other side, but you're grouping up if you are Team Deltafix. You're going to go ahead, just regroup with the squad. Try and get on out of here. You finally have a teammate to play backup. Minda just jumping, trying to get any sort of information, any sort of angle for your team. You catch the squad pushing up here towards the hallway. You're still missing Warren. A huge fight to win here if you are Larry the Carry and Minda.
What a whack. I was just saying, Larry the Carry, you've made a big mistake. And then Minda 999 shows, I'll show you a big mistake. Trades one and is able to get back to his teammate. It is a true 2v2 in a fight that shouldn't be so.
No.
Ideologist and Deltafix still fully healthy as well, just trading operator abilities, trying to land something to give them an advantage. Is actually going to be Team Larry the Carry that lands something first. We lose a bit of health. Go for a bit of an angle. If we found that, it would be an opening. We do have now a potential revive coming through from this Deltafix team if they want it, but they've got to play really safe and wrap out of here. Otherwise, it's going to be a continual trade. Oh, and it lands! Wow. The triple blaster from Deltafix lands, and all of a sudden, Larry the Carry truly has to be the carry for his team.
Yeah, I mean, he is just doing all he can to make sure that there is no active push coming down this hallway. Thankfully for Minda, you're at least able to get down to this other side. Drone's gonna get invested. They're already starting to move here. They're pushing on forward. I don't know if you're gonna have the time. You don't. Larry the Carry taken on down by Team Deltafix. You lost Core in that first sort of trade. We were very hesitant to say that obviously this was going to be a nice and easy fight, but good job from Deltafix to play patiently. And we got to say, that nade that comes in over the top, the triple blaster, it just is doing a great job of finding that value.
Yeah, that was a huge moment. And we've got to turn our eyes. I feel like I kind of forgot that there's other things happening on the map. And what we didn't see because of that fight is actually this squad on your screen right now. Team Stickinson. Do you see what they just looted? They just hit the airdrop again. They are the airdrop reapers and just picked up the AWM and its ammo. Watch out for that team. And it looks like Adderson's squad instead is just going to get out of the map. Again, they're basically playing the exact same strat they did last time. They're just getting out earlier. So Adderson's squad said, we got enough value. Let us leave. You can see their overall total assets right now are at 16 million. That's another like 4 or 5 million game on a non-Mandlebrick round. This team is reaping the loot.
Really good job from them to be able to do that. And you can see they're just going to go ahead, hop in this extraction point like you mentioned, and try and get on out of here with what they've been able to have for Team Stickinson. It looks like they are going to be towards that top side extraction point. And I think Deltafix are going to opt for this one that's down here in the Tower of Babel. So everybody should be feeling pretty good. It looks like some early exits early on in this map here. You can still see we have 6.5 minutes left on that clock. I do wonder, is anybody going to go ahead and try and loot up a little bit more? Or is it just going to be a, hey, we're okay with just kind of doing what we got to do? It feels like for Deltafix, they're just continuing to run around the Tower of Babel, see if there's any other teams nearby. They don't want to commit that extraction just yet, but yeah, the other two teams, hey, they're gonna go ahead, take their loot and leave.
Yeah, I mean, a key reminder here, the Tower of Babel extract does require a ID tag, which they would have gotten from this wipe they just got, so they can all actually get out there if it is a 3-slotter, which I believe it is. They could all actually get out through the Tower of Babel. They don't have to go anywhere else, so they were like, well, we might as well loot up. You do see Adderson's team. They get out through the mid extraction, fully gone. A big map for them again. They are just stat padding at this point, making sure that they have the best loot possible for the next couple rounds. And then it's Stickinson's team. Now, we talked about this last time with Stickinson's squad, who was on the north side of the map. They get the AWM this time with its ammo, and I can only imagine the one player that got out of the map, they send one player out the north side, had to have kept the AWM and its ammo, right? They can't make the same mistake they did before. So we could be seeing Stickinson's squad going into a Mandlebrick round with an AWM and about 20 rounds of ammo, which is just a gigantic boon for them, especially in a round where they could win the whole tournament.
Yeah, no, I think that is a huge call out. Grab what you can, get your one player on out, set yourself up beautiful for this next Mandlebrick round as we get ready to head to Space City, and just let your last two players just do what they want to do, and that's maybe just push forward. They're probably going to check that other extraction point, see either that nobody's home, and maybe just continue to run at the Tower of Babel, assume that there's still a team down in here, and maybe try and play spoiler a little bit.
Yeah, this is something we've seen often in the past too, is on these non-Mandlebrick rounds, teams that are really just trying to make sure they have good loot for the Mandlebrick rounds. I thought maybe we'd see some more hyper-aggressive plays, but usually it is this exact same thing happening, which is basically 3 teams die, 3 teams live, and the 3 teams that live say, we don't really need a fight anymore. Let's take what we earned and get out of the map to make sure we're feeling good for the next rounds. So it looks like that's mostly what's going to happen. Stickinson's squad has actually had a really good round thus far, especially if they are able to find a way out. Timer-wise, it does look like our extraction in the middle has opened back up and will be just enough time, if I'm reading this correctly, to actually get out of the map should they choose to use it. So we've got great loot in our safe box there from, I believe that's Kaiser that was on our screen, and then Stickinson as well. They do get Starbacks out of the map, the north side, as we mentioned. But they could get out of the middle if DeltaVix's team does take the tag extraction on the south side in the Tower of Babel. So we may see one more fight if DeltaVix says, let's just go to mid and not burn those tags to get out, because they do have some value associated, but we'll see what happens.
That might be the play here, Goj. I mean, we see Core first. He's still in the tower, and you can see Ideologist and DeltaVix. They're already moving, so I wonder if they're going to leave Core, say, hey, you were okay, you investing your tag, get on out of here at that extraction point, and then we're going to rotate maybe towards this mid if possible. They're probably going to hear some of those shots that just went on out, so they know that there's at least one team nearby. Go ahead. Try and lock it on up. This could get mixy here in these final 2 minutes.
It definitely could. I mean, frankly, if you're Stickinson's team, you almost want to take this fight. It's almost a boon for you either way. You've already got one person out of the map, and on the chance that you could wipe a full team of 3, or it looks like maybe just potentially 2 of 3, as one player will probably go through the ID extract in Tower of Babel. That's going to be Core, and the other 2 are pushing for this extraction. A 2v2 here is a boon for Stickinson, not only because of their position on the leaderboard, but because of their position on the map.
Slowly waiting. Seems like, yeah, they just want to commit to maybe camping this extraction. Waiting for it to go on through. Just heavy patience here, and I'm totally in agreement with you that, you know, in this 2v2, it definitely feels like a lot more onus is on DeltaVix to try and win this. Team Stickinson, they've already done what they need to do. They've managed to secure the loot. They got a player out. We hope it's with the AWMs to set themselves up for the Mandlebrick map on Space City. Got those long sight lines. It's a map that you're definitely going to be feeling good about having that AWM in your back pocket, but slowly but surely, we see Ideologists and DeltaVix start to make their way on up. Are they going to be able to maybe read that these 2 members of Team Stickinson are nearby? Who is going to be the one to make some engagements first? That's a great way to let them know you're in the area.
45 seconds. You can see that timer. The map timer is top middle, but this extraction is in 40 seconds. You see that right next to the mini map. A little bit small if you're watching on mobile. 30 seconds and counting, so you've got a nice advantage here if you're Kaiser and co. And I don't think Kaiser is even worried about getting out of the map. Stickinson has good value. Most of it's in his safe box. They want this wipe. So Kaiser's not even going to play on the extraction point. He's going to play this off angle. because I don't think they know he's here, and he finds the angle, gets one down to 1 HP. Kaiser, perfect angle.
Gonna be able. Kaiser using that dash, gonna meet back up, and they're gonna hold this extraction here, Goj. They've made their way on over, and just like that,
wow,
they are gonna hold the line. They get on out. These last two members of Delta Fix, guess what? They are just nowhere near. They cannot make it happen yet again. Feels like Team Stickinson maybe learning from that map number 1 on Zero Dam to not let it go down to the final moments of that extraction. A beautiful play at the end from those two.
Yeah, it was perfect communication on the timer as well for Kaiser. Had the off angle, forced them into retreat. You know, Ideologist couldn't swing back around the corner and take the fight. So with the Viren, swing back the extraction, both get out. Stickinson's team gotta be the top team today in terms of overall strategy. They're gonna be at the top of the leaderboard still because of their Mandlebrick, but they were also near the top of just that game with all three getting out. Huge boon for them, and big congrats to them. But again, I still have to turn my eyes to that Adderson squad, who was able to get out with like 7 minutes still on game clock, probably getting the most loot from this map here, Dan.
Yeah, no, feeling very, very good about that. But Dodgers, the one thing that we know, you can have all the loot you want. Doesn't matter when another team still has a Mandlebrick. But let's go ahead. Let's take a look at some of the moments from that game, because very early on, it looked like Team TJ Skipper was just trying to avoid conflict for one singular map. And unfortunately for them, for the third map in a row, they are the first team eliminated.
Yeah, it just feels like they just can't get a handle on how fast some of these encounters can happen. But a fun fight here. Warren able to get the early knock, and I really thought this was going to originally be a Larry the Carry team victory. And then all of a sudden, Larry the Carry's team gets split. They make a hero play to make it a true 2v2. And they were doing everything right, but this triple blaster banked on an angle and perfectly landed on one to get the win for Delta Fix. A little bit of an unlucky situation, and a well-placed shot turns Delta Fix's team into a power position, and it doesn't look like they're able to get either of their two players down here out in time because of a perfect play from Stickinson's team. And as you can see, all three of Stickinson's players get out of the map in stride and with a ton of loot. Very, very well played. And again, reminder, they also got out. Now we know for sure, even if they had made a mistake with their planning, that they for sure have an AWM and about 20 rounds of ammo going into this next round if they choose to use it. A huge boon for holding this Mandlebrick spawn. I bet this team, Dan, goes for the Mandlebrick quick again, rushes the decoding station, because their hold potential on that point going to be insane. I'm so excited about this one, folks. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to take a very short break here in the booth. When we come back, it's going to be game 4, our second Mandlebrick round, and maybe our last map.
大家好，我是 Shadow， 非常高兴 Delta Force 规模非常大的新赛季即将推出，也特别期待大家的反馈。关于大家一直想要的主机版本，我们一直在努力的在做准备。今天终于有一个好消息会告诉大家 ，Delta Force 的主机版本将在8月19日正式推出，会登陆 PS5、Xbox， 并且是免费游玩的。黑鹰坠落也会作为免费 DLC 推出。再过几个小时，我们的主机版本的商店页面即将开放，请大家记得把我们添加进入心愿单。同时呢，我们也会推出一个超值的主机平台的礼包，然后现在购买可以在主机上线的时候获取。我们也将在7月份开启主机平台的先检技术测试，请大家关注我们的官网和各大的官方社区。我们也将在陆续发布一些招募的一些指引，欢迎大家来体验，也希望大家多多给我们提一些反馈意见，我们会对这些反馈意见做出很好的优化和修改。同时呢 ，Delta Force 是我们团队的第一款的跨端产品，也是我们首次在主机平台上的尝试。我们的团队花费了非常多的时间和心力，然后我们希望能够把产品打磨好，和大家见面。也感谢大家一直在耐心的等待和支持。我们会继续努力，会打磨好我们的主机版本。除此之外，我还想给大家带来一些全球电竞的新消息。今年呢，我们将举办首届的 Delta Force 烽火地带的全球总决赛。 来自8大赛区的顶级战队将在烽火地带的战场上角逐首个全球的总冠军头衔。各个赛区的预选赛也将逐步的开展，每一位玩家都有机会参与。更多的消息请关注我们的官方社区。最后，我想真心的感谢所有的玩家在社区里面给我们反馈了非常多有价值的意见，也一起创作了很多有趣的话题和内容。过去几个月，我们看到了非常多各种各样充满创造力和想象力的作品不断的在社区里面出现，整个团队其实是非常喜欢也非常开心的，也期待有更多的一些内容在社区里面出现。谢谢大家，让我们一起打造更好的 Delta Force。
Welcome back to the Delta Force Elite Invitational. The European region has been heating up for a while, folks, and a great last map. That was map 3 we've just wrapped on, and another gigantic loot map from Team Anderson. They have dramatically continued to jump up this leaderboard to a point where they have a giant gap on loot. But of course, as a reminder, it's the team with a Mandlebrick. That's our priority ranking metric on the leaderboard. So Team Stickinson in first with that Mandlebrick, no matter what their loot totals are. However, Dan, Team Stickinson has great loot value as well for also having a Mandlebrick.
Yeah, I mean, for having a Mandlebrick and going into that game with really nothing to lose, the fact that they come out with the second most total loot value is really crazy to me. I mean, you can see right there on your screen, plus 6.4 million, only, you know, 2.5 million roughly behind Team Anderson, who that's all they did, right? So yes, you only have 13 million total, but in the grand scheme of things, look at it. You have a Mandlebrick, you have the second most total value. You're heading into Space City, where all you got to do is catch this Mandlebrick and you'll end our tournament here. That is the thing you have to look at. So for Team Anderson, it feels like a little bit of an insurance policy right now, where they say, hey, even if we do not manage to kind of get a Mandlebrick in this round, and let's say it is Team Stickinson and they end the event, we at least are basically have a very strong insurance policy that we will be in second, but we'll be walking away with a very sizable amount of cash.
Yeah, a great shout, and you can see where everybody else is lined up. Obviously, Team Larry the Carry, they've actually been playing really well, really aggressive, taking good team fights. They just really haven't been able to keep stuff in their stash. They've had to use a lot of assets. They end up dying. They still get a decent amount of loot value added, but because they lose so much of their loot that they're bringing in, not extracting, they're still way down in total assets. So it's going to be tough to bring in some really heavy hitting gear going into map number 4, but we'll see. And I think something else to take a look at for the rest of these teams is obviously operator conversations. You can see some really heavy hitting operators out already. Team Anderson, they've been crushing it. Frankly, also on the back of getting information from their Luna. They can't use Luna for the rest of these maps, which is a little bit, I don't think it's a mistake. I do think it's going to be a little frustrating in this next map, not having that recon operator, but they could they're probably going to pick a Hat Claw next time to at least get some value of being able to hunt some folks down.
What we're gonna do, pick a Hat Claw here, and then, you know, obviously game 5 we still have a Mandlebrick in there, so it's like Do you waste your recon just to try and keep the team alive? I don't know, man. A lot of questions, because I'm looking at Team Stickinson, dude. They still have 2 uses of a Luna. They still have 1 use of a Hacklaw. And more importantly to me, dude, they still have 1 use of a Virant in their back pocket as well. Some very, very high value operators that are there. So I don't know. It's a little interesting when we look through here to see what have teams already gone ahead and invest. But I'm very curious to see who's currently leading our MVP, because I think we saw some huge fights go on in that last game. And well, look who it is. It's Extreme. He's leapfrogged Stickinson and Star Baxter from that game number 3, and he's now at the top here going into game number 4 with 8 eliminations.
Yeah, and it was obviously the first wipe from Extreme that gave them such a boon here. I think he picked up 2 out of 3 of those, and then maybe got another one later in the lobby. But either way, a huge boon to his overall individual kill race, MVP race leaderboard here, jumping both of those players. And I guess, you know, we saw Stickinson, Star Baxter. I don't think they wiped anybody from the Delta Fix team. So almost we saw Kaiser maybe joining them on this leaderboard. But either way, a great map for both of these teams and all of these individuals. So a big shout out to Extreme leading the overall race. Moving into map 4, though, let's talk about it. It's time for some Space City. I am so amped to see Space City into our comp rotation. As per the usual, one of my favorite maps. And I do think that a Mandlebrick on this map is really fun as well. It usually spawns dead center of the map, right underneath that boss. The sniper boss on this map is so disgustingly powerful. You've got to be careful with those little mini tanks running around as well. A lot going on in the middle of Space City, but I am really looking for some of these long sight lines and how teams will play with either smokes, snipers, or everything in between. And of course, I'm never going to make sure that you forget that Stickinson squad is likely going to bring in an AWM with ammo, which means you're gonna get a crazy amount of value on this map with that weapon.
Well, that's what I'm kind of curious about. Are they going to invest that AWM early to be able to take out the boss? That way they can manage to get a very fast Mandlebrick. We watched them in that sort of game number 2 with the Mandlebrick on Brackish, where they go in, it's this huge, long, stalled out fight. And then it's at the final moments that they're able to just to kind of be the team that says, you know what, screw this. We're going to move on forward. We're grabbing that Mandlebrick, and we are immediately going to go ahead and try and decode it. And it's basically after an MVP performance by Kaiser is the only reason that they're able to kind of snag it. So I wonder if here into this game, do they play even faster? They realize, like, we don't need to just trying to be able to have this standstill with other teams. Let's go ahead. The power. We have a lot of value. Try and bring in everything we can, and let's end this tournament now.
Yeah, I totally agree. To be honest, I think we go for broke here. There's no reason not to. They have the power. They have the advantage right now. Absolutely the play. Who knows though? Maybe they're gonna play a little bit slower. And we've seen games where the player that fortune favors the bold in this tournament thus far. In others, it definitely hasn't. Looking back to the Delta Force Global League with the same format, we've seen a lot of teams potentially they go for this brick, they grab the brick, they get it to the decoding station first, but it doesn't matter. They throw it in, and then everybody gets onto them. They get pinched by 4 teams, and all of a sudden they're completely wiped, and it doesn't matter who put the brick in first. It's about who takes the brick out through that decoding station. So I don't know if they're going to be the team that grabs the brick first, but they're absolutely going to play for the win, Dandro.
No, absolutely. And you kind of bring up a good point there. Even if they are the team that grabs the brick first, you know that you are putting the entire lobby on notice. And that for a lot of these squads, especially a team like Team Adderson, right? They don't want this to end right now. They don't want to end in second. They want to take the W. So when they see that Mandlebrick start to get picked up and start to get decoded, you know they're about to get active to try and stop that from happening, because they want to be the team to be able to capture that Mandlebrick. They want to go into another round here on Space City and try and do it again. That way they can try and take the win.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good breakdown too. Dan, while we're waiting on this map to get started, let's talk a little bit about some of those operator comps, because like we said, it was DeltaFix's team that I think had a whole spreadsheet on what they were doing. I think most people do, but I think it'll be really interesting to see what comps are brought into this map in particular, and if maybe those operators are going to be a huge boon. So let's take a look at it and break it down who you think maybe some folks could bring in. Obviously, a lot of people missing Virans right now. Look at that. Bottom 3 3 teams all completely out of their virants.
No, and I think that's exactly where I want to start with this, right? Is basically those 2 assault operators that we see being able to be used. Only a couple people have opted to maybe go for this D-Wolf because they've already used both of their Virant slots. But look at Team Stickinson here, Coach. This is the squad that is currently trying to put the rest of the lobby on notice. They've already used only 1 D-Wolf. They've used only 1 Virant. And more importantly, they've only used 1 of their other recon operator that's going on there, their hack claw, sorry, that we have going in. They have used both of their stinger though, right? So this is the thing that does concern me with Team Stickinson when we kind of start talking about operator usage and what we're doing in, you know, kind of in these Mandlebrick rounds, is that in that game number 2, we saw the stinger be such a clutch use to be able to smoke up the Mandlebrick for them to be able to pick it up and then cover their exit when trying to get to the decoder. You're not going to have that luxury as much as you want here, but you do still have some options that you can use else to try and maybe block off your cover and be able to try and get on out of there, right? So when I look at sort of the operators that have been used and who's available for some of these teams, we could go through and talk a lot about this, right? But the reality is that Team Stickinson, they are trying to end this championship here now, right? They are trying to end the Delta Elite Invitational right here, right now. And when I'm just taking a look at their operators that they have, they still have a lot on the board. They still have a Saniva they could bring in if they wanted to. Like I said, they still have 2 uses of that Luna if they wanted to. A lot of stuff that they have. And when I'm looking across some of the other teams here, we are starting to see some teams already use some of their heavy hitters, mainly Team Adderson. Both Lunas taken off the map. You've already used 1 of your hack claws. This is what we talked about earlier, where yes, if they bring in the hack claw right now to have some of that recon ability to make sure that they can be the one to grab the Mandlebrick, well, what are you going to do once we head into map 5? Like, what is going to be the opportunity there? You've used all of your recon prowess. You then have to kind of go back to the drawing board. Thankfully for them, they do still have both of their Virants and they still have 1 more stinger if they want to try and hang on out there. So really, really tough to be able to try and maybe kind of think about some of the strategy here for some of these teams, because they have to really make the call now. Like, do we try and invest the last use of this operator to keep this event going, or do we try and play a little risky and bring in somebody else so that way when it's our time to try and capture that Mandlebrick, we have the operator we want?
Yeah, dude, Dandro's deep dive. I love it, man. Great analysis on all of this. It's been so fun to take a look at, like, and the other thing we always realize with these events is that people learn along the way as well. And so I'll be really curious, like, after this broadcast, potentially talk to some of these teams about what they learned along the way. I mean, my eyes are frankly on this leaderboard. Our lobby's about to get started. Team Tyson, they started out so strong in the first couple maps, but that slow kind of patient play style didn't end up working for them. When they found themselves in an encounter that they weren't the ones starting and they weren't prepared for, they weren't able to get the better of their opponents. And that's why you see a minus on this leaderboard. 45,000 isn't a lot to lose, but you got to remember everybody else went way up. Even teams that got wiped went almost up 1 million. That means Team Tyson lost a ton of value in that last game with the amount of loot they brought in, because they're getting from this rematch, this kind of match compensation, they're getting like several million. So they lost a ton of value in that last one, and I think they're going to be a little bit more hamstrung going into this next map. So some fun conversations. I've seen a lot of questions in chat. Obviously, we've got a competitive integrity delay on, but I've seen a lot of questions in chat right now about scoring. So I want to go back to the format graphic one more time as we're going into map number 4 and explain. Oh, just kidding. We've got our game ready, and I'll explain it while we're talking about the game here, Dandro, because scores extremely important. Yes, Mandlebrick is our priority ranking. So Team Stickinson could have 5 Technic Alloy in total. Doesn't matter. They've got a Mandlebrick. They're going to be in first place overall, all right? This is a really important factor about this game mode in this tournament. It does give your team some extra loot value if you get a Mandlebrick out of the map, but that is the priority ranking no matter what. So if Team Adderson, who does have more total assets on them, if they get this brick, likely they are the team that's going to be in first place. We go Mandlebricks first, then total loot value. And yes, Adderson's squad has the most loot right now, but they are not in first place, not yet. However, this is double brick tournament format, which means double brick, double the fun and the tournament over. If our team at the top, Team Stickinson, is able to get the Mandlebrick this game, you will only see Space City once, and we will be done with this tournament this map. Dandro, I'm so excited about it. Also worth mentioning, If this Dickinson team picks up the brick or puts it in a decoding station, it tells everybody on the map, not only did they do that, but it's also a match point team that has done that, and everybody's going to have to respond.
Yeah, no, I think that's really the key thing to sort of mention there is that it's the risk versus reward if you are Team Dickinson. Do they try and make it happen, very, very quickly, or do they wait for somebody else to pick up the Mandlebrick and then play a little bit of defense and just try and grab it at the last final moment? Now, as we get ready to hop on in, look at that map view, Coach. I mean, we are spawning on in. There's 4 teams right in this middle area already. 2 teams on the wings, it feels like, in each corner. I'm feeling a little bit of brackish all over again at the Tower of Babels. We can already see Team Deltafix going up against Team Adderson with Extreme. He's able to find 2 quick and early, and it's just Ideologist on the Seneva.
Oh, this is another huge moment for Addison's team. They can get these wipes, potentially pick up a very quick team fight. Another great way to use the Seneva operator. Going to go for the revive here. I think this is the smart play. They're going to try to stick it. Most likely, you're going to see Adderson's squad try to swing on this, but they have lost one of their own, so they're a little bit cautious here. This is a very big map for them, and they likely brought in a ton of loot value. They're going to get their very own res to try to make a play here. As we see another fight off screen on the other side. Dickinson in an immediate fight with Larry the Carry.
Yeah, I think they got to make the right idea here. You do not need to take any of these fights just kind of willy-nilly. And it's exactly this. They make that realization. They want to just run away, distance themselves as much as they can for the time being. A lot of time on this clock here, Coach. I know these games feel like they go by fast, but when you're in the game, it's really easy to feel like you got to be antsy. You got to be making some moves happen. For Team Dickinson, though, they don't got to do anything just yet. You have a lot of teams around you. You have a couple teams fighting. You're hearing this action get, kind of blown on up. Wait for it to settle on down, then maybe kind of regroup and figure out where you want to go.
Things have slowed down now. You're right. Deltafix is down a player, and they've got the body on lock, and they're not going to leave it. It's a quick reminder. Everybody knows this at home. You play a lot, but got a red timer and a yellow timer, and it looks like our Seneva operator is at least going to get a peek to make sure they're on the body, and that's exactly where they're at right now. So Ideologist doesn't feel like they have an angle to get involved. They're going to have to back up and try to think about how they want to approach this.
And you lose core here in that early engagement. Not exactly the best case scenario for you. So you are just playing as a 2-man, kind of just running around on this middle of the time. So this is opportunity. Go see what you can find for some loot here. Maybe get back on up. You got some NPCs on the outside. Maybe take them on down. But look who's kind of lurking on the outside here, Goj. Team Tyson. They're probably hearing some of this battle. Go ahead, kick on up, kick the dust.
And they
start to move on in.
Team Tyson needs a big map, frankly. Whether it's just getting a Mandlebrick or if it's wiping some of these teams. They're due one for sure. It looks like Dickinson wasting no time. He's going to grab the brick and is off to the races yet again. 100-meter dasher, maybe a half mile. Who knows where they go with a decoding station. It looks like they're going to head... Oh, they're going to actually head back up, regroup with the team, and run indoors. I like this play. A lot less sightlines to work with here if they play this outside position. Gets back to Star Baxter. A perfect B&E almost onto where the Mandlebrick is at. With nobody overlooking it at the right moment, they're able to get here, get to this decoding station, and immediately forces engagement. This is the decoding station that most people we've seen on Space City go for. It is an interesting one because you can't really hold the decoding station itself because it's just one long hallway, but you can hold the areas around it decently easy. Expect this Mandlebrick to exchange hands multiple times, but also expect a lot of fighting to be happening around the outside of the actual decoding station, not that main hallway.
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock for right now. As that starts to tick down and decode, feels like Team Larry the Carry might be the only squad in the vicinity who could kind of try and activate and maybe take this fight to them. If there's any squad that I feel pretty confident about maybe being able to get this sort of win in the fight, it is Team Larry the Carry. They've proven their gun skill time and time again. The team that they're going up against is going to be even more difficult. Holding the line. Trying to maybe get a nice early pick. If you can make it happen. Begging them to push on forward.
Looks like off-screen, Adderson's team is fighting Tyson's team, but this is the fight we care about. AWM so valuable in instances like this, being able to hold these angles. They peak 1 millisecond. You're going to hit them like an 18-wheeler just ran over you. Just crushed by a truck. You can see that timer, by the way. We'll pay attention to the top of our screen.
I mean,
Trading of... Go ahead.
This is just such a good setup. I love from Team Stickinson right now. Like, Team Larry the Carrot, they're trying to push on through, and look what happens. It's a double knock immediately. It's just playing as a 2x2. You're gonna clean up both of these, and it's just gonna be Warren alive. Do you manage to find the third? I don't know if you do, but wow, what a great fight.
And it's just exactly what we talked about going into this map. And I love, you know, I'm not necessarily biased towards this team, but I am biased to the AWM. And it's just good strategy, right? You're able to get to those airdrops in the last map to have a giant value going into this one. There's just almost no way that Team Larry the Carry is going to win this fight. Even peeking an angle for just a blip of a moment, you're at least trading 1 life, and having 2 players play this angle, they not only trade the life, but they also pick up the fulls instantaneously. And now the third for Team Larry the Carry says, welp, I can't do anything. A full team of 3 holding on the inside. I gotta hope somebody comes in for the third party, and then maybe I can get in there and just try to steal the brick away. And that's exactly what's happening. Everybody knows right now this is a match point team decoding this brick. Folks, this tournament is over in 75 seconds if nobody goes for this brick. And you can see Adderson's squad sprinting at it. They're the team in the pink, also team in the green. That's going to be TJ Skipper in the area. Things are getting mixy.
Yeah, this is getting absolutely spicy already. We see Adderson open up the fight by being able to take down Sticks and just kind of trying to crouch and peek through the door if possible. Surging on in through the other side is going to be the 2 teammates, though. Are they going to be able to take this decoder, put it into their hands, steal it away? You only have 45 seconds remaining. Kaiser, though, he's going to be able to find Extreme. Stickinson, he gets full. There's a fight in the hallway, though. Another one taken on down. That's going to be Kaiser getting full. 2 teams already trying to fly their way on through. Team Stickinson, they only have 1 member alive. It's going to be Star Baxter. Can he manage to hold on to this? Only 20 seconds. These 2 teams are fighting, and neither of these teams are the team trying to go for the decode right now. Can you steal it? 20 seconds left on the clock.
We've got to watch this decoding station. There's literally 15 seconds to make or break this steal. You have to sprint at it. You've got to just try to suicide reset or something. Team Stickinson is going to win this tournament right here, right now, and Starbaxer knows it. They're fighting each other. They're ruining their day. We're barrel stuffing. We're getting the kill. Delta Fix steals it. Delta Fix steals it. With 1 second on the clock, they steal it. Holy cow. Unbelievable steal at the last second. Delta Fix steals and loses their entire team besides this one Seneva operator ideologist alive. Everyone in a blender. A solo for Adderson, a solo for Stickinson, a solo for Larry the Carry, a solo for Delta Fix. And Delta Fix has the decode going right now with 3 minutes on the clock. What is happening?
I mean, and you're going to be able to use this time. You can get that res. This is huge. Warren on the outside, though. Gonna be able to find 1 member of team. Adderson, I'm just looking at Star Baxter, though, who's still managing to find these eliminations. As long as Star Baxter can stay alive here, this is crazy. Has that AWM in the back pocket. Knows that a lot of these squads are just going to be just a solo that's here. It's only TJ Skipper who has a full trio, and they are nowhere to be seen right now, for the record. Just not anywhere on in, and oh my god! The snipes are hitting! Warren fold with that, and it's a Larry the Carry getting taken on out by that sniper. Delta Fix, they still have 2 minutes on this decoder, but Starbaxer, it was Kaiser in map number 2. He might be the one about to go crazy right now for the team.
This is such a good play. If he's able to get this revive, Starbaxer, obviously, AWM advantage is gigantic, and you can complain all you want how strong this weapon is. They put in the work to earn it. Perfectly executed, and now because he got that knock and that kill, Team Larry the Carry's out of here. Team Adderson's out of here. Team Tyson is out of here. We have 3 teams remaining, and Delta Fix was able to get a revive of their own. So Stickinson picks up his teammate to get the res. Now, here's the problem. the team that actually is decoding right now is Team DeltaFix, and they were also able to get a res, and they have a Saniva operator. Worst comes to worst, AWM, very strong. It can't shoot through the riot shield. And so I think I'm actually giving the advantage right now to DeltaFix just because they've got the decode going. Somebody's got to make a play. It's not end of tournament if they get it, but it is still a very big moment, and you're preventing Team Stickinson from winning this whole thing.
Well, you can even see already, TJ Skipper, they're on the other side. They're kind of waiting for their moment to maybe slide their way on through. If you find this going, it would be huge. But Star Baxter finds Ideologist. You talked about it, Coach. This Saniva operator is a huge moment here. But DeltaFix, he's going to be in the door. Slides on out into the hallway. Do you find the angle? No! Star Baxter is there for the trade. Final couple of seconds. They're going to go ahead, put the decoder back into their hands. And a huge kill right there from Team Stickinson. You wipe DeltaFix off the map, and you know it's just you against TJ Skipper, a 2v3.
They get the steal. They get the kill. Saniva operator important, but not when you get caught like that. But did you see Stickinson's setup? They perfectly played the cross. So when DeltaFix chowed, he was cut down by this Stickinson teammate. This was unbelievable setup from the Stickinson team. They are moving on all cylinders. They practice, they set up the reps, and they're about to win in 4. And it all comes down to TJ Skipper and co. The team that's been at the bottom most of the day today has a chance to save this tournament for everyone else in a 3v2.
And well, look who is still watching the same door with the AWM. We watched him get a nasty nice little headshot earlier, and it could be the same thing here again. If he's able to find an early pick, Coach, you are going to be feeling so good if you are Team Stickinson. They don't have to move right now. They don't have to do anything. They just have to play all out full court defense to make sure that no member of Team TJ Skipper is going to slide on through to steal that decoder. You have plenty of time on the match clock, right? It's all going your way. We are down to the final minute and a half on that decoder.
Unbelievable. I am just so impressed with the Stickinson team. And also the forethought of playing for these airdrops. They know how powerful this weapon is. We got to talk about TJ Skipper's team. An opportunity to make a play, and they unfortunately get punished immediately. Wow. There's the other POV from when that AWM hits, and it's utter chaos. It is utter domination, and a double trade out here. It's going to be a 2v1.
Yeah, this is rough. And I like this from Star Baxter. Push on forward. Try and get these fulls if you can. You're guaranteed one. Gonna see, obviously, the guided missile come on out. At least deal some damage to TJ Skipper, the captain. And for right now, for Stickinson, this is all you have to do. Beg them to push on forward. You got the full onto one. Skipper's low. You're gonna be actually get the full onto the second as well. It's a 2v1 for the time being. Team Stickinson, just a beautiful setup. I'm gonna try and maybe run down the clock here.
Yeah, it's just 30 seconds. What do you even do if you're TJ Skipper on the other side? I mean, you know you can't go through this doorway. Your whole body's gonna explode from an elephant gun on the other side. So what do you decide to do? I mean, these Lapua rounds hit like an absolute truck. And you just have no chance at this point unless you swing around. He's not even going to go for it. He doesn't. No. He doesn't even know what he could possibly do.
Wow. You're just watching the tournament end in your eyes. And there you go. Team Stickinson. It felt like against all odds, Coach. They come to the final moments, and it's just the last man standing. Star Baxter goes huge to keep the team alive. You get the res, and you are just holding it down. You mentioned it earlier. This was not about them being the best team in this round. This was about them being the best team over multiple rounds.
Yeah, I mean, they set everything up perfectly. This is the team that has won it all, no questions asked. And I don't care what you've got on the other side. Star Baxter going crazy, getting another clip for us. Unbelievable finish, perfect execution. And they did the work in the other rounds to set up for this one. You know, Dan, it wasn't that hard for us to predict. It wasn't that hard for us to break down at the forefront of this broadcast. We talked about this exact scenario. We talked about this Dickinson squad in those rounds, in round 3, getting to the airdrop, getting the AWM, and he said, we know for a fact they're getting Starbaxer out the top of the map. They sent one out early. They know for a fact they needed this AWM for this second round because they had the power position and the most powerful weapon. They were the team that had to get this Mandlebrick in order to win the whole tournament, but they're the only team with a Mandlebrick, which means they can play like this. They can play hyper-aggressive, and they can play for these kills. It was a perfect execution of grabbing every advantage that they could get. It's very obvious this team has been in the lab.
Yeah, and I think what you saw also, just what led to a lot of their success in this map as well, was basically by them, I think, getting the Mandlebrick early. You watched it get really low on the decode, and it was only at that moment that we finally saw some of these teams move on in. And I think it just gets a little bit too mixy. We see Team Adderson, we see Team Delta Fix, right? They're going at it. We're getting down to the final second of the decode, the first time that Team Dickinson had it, right? And it's only then that somebody from Team Delta Fix, when it's all said and done, one player left alive, that they're able to steal that decode for themselves. So the fact that those two teams kind of go in and get mixy, you'll lose so many people in the process. Whereas I think if Delta Fix still manages to steal that decoder, but a lot of our teams are still up, it's a completely different map that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be nearly as mixy, but it's just the ability that Starbaxer, MVP, at least of this game, is able to stay alive, find those kills, gets the teammate, gets them back on up, and just brings it on down. And the fact that they still win a 2v3 to win the map and win our Delta Force Elite Invitational here in Europe is crazy.
Yeah, and I think too, you know, a key thing, a historical thing about this team, we knew this was going to be a top team. We talked about them even before games got started today, because this is a team that's been playing together for a very long time. They've been playing together almost since the beginning of Delta Force and their esports competitions. This is a team that competed in the first and second season of the Delta Force Global League. And interestingly enough, this is what's so cool about this squad, is this team played together in the semifinals of the Delta Force Global League last season, and they unfortunately fell short. We did not see them in the finals, and they said, we understand now. They studied the rule book, they figured it out, they figured out every piece of the way to play this competition. They come into the Delta Force Elite Invitational and absolutely dominate front to back, and even get out of the map in order to add a little extra loot to their overall leaderboard and just show off a bit. We had some great teams, some great moment from some really good teams, and they're all going to be earning some cash today, but there's no question this is the best team here.
No, absolutely. Best team here in the lobby. Started here in map number 2 with them gaining the first Mandlebrick, and they end it in the next map you possibly can. Team Dickinson, everybody showcasing why they deserve to walk away with the lion's share of our prizing here today. Kaiser, Starbaxter, and Dickinson, you are the Delta Force Elite Invitational champions for Europe.
Yeah, a big win. Shout out to Paris. This is a great team. They've been working together for a long time, and Team Dickinson on top, no questions asked. There's still some math that needs to be done behind the scenes for the rest of these squads, as our prizing does include everybody that's competing today, but this is your top team today. And this also means that Team Dickinson, they will get an invite to the Delta Force Invitational European Regional Finals that's happening in a couple weeks from now, and be able to play for an opportunity to make that LAN event, the Delta Force Invitational in China, that's been announced. Really exciting stuff for this squad. Still a lot to work for, still a lot to play for, but today this tournament is already done in 4 maps. What a fun way to wrap this thing up. And I gotta say, Dan, I'm looking back on our competitions. Delta Force Global League Europe, also in the operations finals, also ended in 4. There's something about this European region, man. They like to finish things pretty quickly here on Min and just get going and get on with their lives. Unreal to only see this wrapped up in 4.
Yeah, well, especially even considering that we had a couple of changes from last week as well, right? So not only is it just a little bit of a slight change in the format, slight change in the maps, they're still able to end it in 4. It felt like with that double brackish now, kind of in the mix. I felt like on that second bracket, that's really where we saw Team Sickenson kind of shine, because you and I were talking, we said they can kind of just come in with minimal loot value if they wanted to and just basically play spoiler to a bunch of teams. That's not what they do. They are able to come on in, they play beautifully, they just stay completely away from the Tower of Babel, they get that airdrop, they get the AWM, they get the hell out of there, and now next thing you know, it's exactly what they need as the setup to be able to end it in map number 4. Some great, fantastic stuff, man. But this map number 4 was just so mixy from start to finish.
Yeah, a fun look back on some of the highlights here from this map. And you're right, it was mixy from the very beginning. Addison squad in an early engagement we actually missed. And it was this moment right here that I said, oh, they're really going to do this. Because I, for some reason, I think with the AWM, I just assumed they'd be holding these crosses for a lot longer. And again, these fights, crucial ones to look back on. But it was immediately grabbing that Mandlebrick and immediately going to the decode station made for this moment where they said, hey, we're going to hold the decoding station, not the Mandlebrick itself. Let's get that thing cooking. Everybody has to come for us. They've got to play risky, and that's exactly what we want, because we can hold these long angles better than anybody. Starbacks are playing perfectly, but also it was a team effort. Kaiser winning his ones on the opposite side, and Saniva operator getting some decent value here. Some fun moments, but as much as that Riot Shield can help, it is not everything, especially not when you catch the wrong end of a fight. And here's another barrel step. Starbaxer should have gone down there, but the Addison team just didn't know that they were right there, right waiting around the corner from this fight. And so when it came time for the final couple moments where everybody had to make a play, they just had the better angles and they were able to find those really tight windows to get the kills.
Yeah, and that moment right there too, that is a huge pickup from Starbaxer. DeltaFix plays a great idea of just saying, I'm gonna lay in wait, I'm gonna let these guys run on forward. But Starbaxer able to get that trade and make sure that the teammate doesn't go down is such a clutch moment to be able to stay alive. And then yeah, being able to obviously 2v3 the last final team you need to secure the win, that just feels extra great if you are Team Stickinson.
Yeah, just a great moment to look back on. They wipe the lobby, they win the lobby, they issue a salute as they grab their second Mandlebrick and win this whole tourney. Fun final map. And look, I'm a little bummed we only get to see Space City once. I'm not gonna lie, I love this map so much, but even still, I know Team Stickinson is saying, yeah, we only need it once. We don't need to see more Space City. We don't need to be playing any more maps. A great job. But my big question marks that are going off in my head right now are, where does everybody else land on the leaderboard? Because Dan, we got to remember, yes, Team Addison had a giant lead in total loot value over everybody else. Our prizing delineates all the way down, and so these are key moments. People probably brought in crazy kits. Let's take a look at how much everybody lost, because everybody died on the map. Let's take a look at where our leaderboard lands. They get some compensation ending the round, and like expected, a lot of minuses on our board and some big numbers. But Team Addison, they just had way too big of a buffer. Nobody was catching them in total loot because of the work they put in that last couple maps there, Dan. So Team Addison is going to be your second place team.
Yeah, that came all the way back to sort of map number 2, where while Team Stickinson was trying to go for that Mandlebrick, it was very obvious that this team was highly prioritizing just being able to get as much loot as they can and get on out. And I feel like that is what just set them up to be able to secure this second place at the end of the day. 16.67 million, almost double what the team in third was able to accrue over our 4 games, which I think is just absolutely crazy. And that's even with losing 2.5 million in that last game, with all of them getting eliminated. So huge shout out to them. Great work all day long. Gotta also give some credit, of course, to our third place team, Team DeltaFix. Obviously, they started off not too great there in map number 1, but really able to bring it back on in. I think in those maps 2 and 3, they tried to do their best here in map number 4, but it just wasn't enough. It's just a little bit too much of a flurry between all of our squads battling it out. But the fact that they end the day with 8.85 million in total asset value, with still losing $1 million in that last game, gotta give them some credit where credit is due.
Yeah, hey, I will as well, because I was really worried about this DeltaFix team after the first couple maps. It was this DeltaFix squad that was struggling a bit with Team TJ Skipper in terms of their early loot totals. And then they really started coming online, and I was pretty impressed with what they were able to do. They had some really tight moments in some of these fights towards the end of this last map. They were really the team that was trying to spoil Team Stickinson the most in some of the fights, but unfortunately got caught and Team Stickinson wins it all. But you're right, Delta Fix there in third. And then look at the tight margins for the rest of these. Fifth and sixth do earn the same amount of money. So both Team Larry the Carry and TJ Skipper, they will earn some cash today. Team Tyson does just barely sneak out ahead of them. You know, less than $1 million, really closer to like $500,000 spread is basically nothing. That is no loot value, because each player is earning, just for playing the game, about $350K in match compensation, and then later rounds it's $700K per person. So really, really tight there on the leaderboard. Team Tyson getting fourth overall. Here's a look at the pricing and the breakdown. Team Stickinson, double brick format means they are the winners. So $4,000 to Team Stickinson, split between their three players. Team Adderson getting second, $2,500. Delta Fix there in third, Tyson in fourth, and then Team TJ Skipper, Team Larry the Carry. Still a great day, still good maps, but overall at the bottom of our leaderboard, still earning a bit of cash. So congratulations to all of our teams today for competing and earning some cash. But it's Team Stickinson at the top and Team Stickinson that we will see in a future show, the Delta Force Regional Finals. I'm really pumped to see what they're able to do there, Dan. But a fun look at the pricing and a fun day so far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was even though we only played 4 maps, I would like to see us go a little bit more. Still, I feel like every single map delivered, and even though this is obviously our, you know, invitational, these aren't teams that had to fight their way here necessarily. Everybody bringing the competition and absolutely showcasing that they took this very seriously. They came into every single map with some idea of how they wanted to play the strategy. Yet again, huge shout out to Team Adderson, who basically with that game number 2 secured themselves $2,500 as a crew. But I'd like to see them maybe try and, you know, get that Mandlebrick in that last game to at least make it a little bit interesting between them and Team Stickinson. But either way, great day for them, and especially a great day for Team Stickinson, especially when we look at the MVP race.
Yeah, and this is what was so crazy. I've got to, again, tip my hat to Extreme. Really crushed it on Team Adderson. Was constantly farming kills, doing great work for his team. But it was Star Baxter that is going to be our MVP as well, with the most kills because of that last map. AWM go crazy, Star Baxter go crazy, and it is going to be our MVP for the day. But well done for Stickinson and Extreme to be on this leaderboard. And Dandro, I think I'm getting word that Star Baxter, not only MVP, not only our champion, but I believe we're going to have an opportunity to talk to our friend Star Baxter in the booth, in the building. My GOAT, how does it feel to be MVP? How does it feel to win the whole thing? You all crushed it.
It's so good, it's so good. The games were hard, but we managed to pull it off. The second game with the Kaiser, it was absolute cinema. We were popping off. Oh my god. I will rewatch it like 1,000 times after this tournament. Every game was interesting, yes.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad you shouted out Kaiser, because I'm with you. We were sitting here going crazy in the booth too. I think absolute cinema is probably the best way to say it, but give yourself some credit, dude, because you kind of put on some absolute cinema moments there in that last game. Walk me through that sort of game number 4. What was the strategy going on into it? Because obviously you guys wanted to end the tournament there and then. What was the strategy going on into game 4?
Well, the plan from the start was try to finish in 4 games. So we tried to take the op in the first game, so we can play with op with Mandel maps, second and fourth one. But we misplayed there a bit. I didn't have enough time to extract, and we lost it. But no worries. The second game was absolute cinema, and after the second game, we thought that let's try to get our strongest operators in the fourth one, and try to end it there. Because as well we got the op from the third game, and I thought this was a good opportunity. I watched the guys. I was their coach on the last tournament. Stickinson, Netex, and Moscow was playing in it, so I am pretty familiar with this exact Mandlebrick decode station. And the plan was to get to this, try to decode, and just hold there. Last time there was a problem when the team got from the top, but this time we split it up, so at least one side will be defended, and then just history.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, man. Great breakdown, and it looked like you had done some studying. Obviously, this Perry team, obviously under Team Stickinson this time around, like you said, you've had a couple people in and out, but you've all been involved since the beginning. Early Delta Force Global League under a different format, and then now into this format. The team struggled a little bit in the semifinals, just barely missing out rather to the finals in the Delta Force Global League. How much studying did you do, again, as the coach in that and now a player in than this. How much studying did you all do to really learn this brand new format and be able to execute at such a high level?
The format changed a lot. For me, it's more interesting for the players and for the viewers as well, because the matches are more active. There are no like sitting in the one corner and playing like this. You need to play aggressive, at least on the Mandlebricks. And really interesting thing with the economy, it's hard when you start. Like when I was coaching the first tournament with these new rules, it's hard to get the theory crafting about loadouts when you're not playing it. Like this was the second time, so we were informed a little bit better. We got our guns in advance, so we knew that we will play like HK, we will play QBZ, and maybe if we will get a lot of money, we will play M7 and the BLK. So the guns were ready, and after that it's pretty easy. You need to fight for every Mandlebrick, because there is no need to play for money in these kind of tournament. The main thing is a Mandlebrick, so every time you need to fight for it.
Yeah.
I gotta, kind of have a question there. Obviously, you mentioned it. This was way more aggressive, it felt like, in today's event than comparatively to past ones. In that last final game, you guys almost clutched it up on the very first decode that happened. Came down to, I think, 1 second. Were you surprised by the aggression that came from all of the other teams in that lobby? Because it felt like you were almost going to get away with it scot-free when you win that first fight against Team Larry the Carry, and then it felt like nobody else was even going to try and attempt to be able to bring you on down. Were you a little bit surprised by that?
I was surprised that they came so late. I thought that they will come earlier and we will have like one fight after one fight, and it became like 1v1 and all the teams fight between them. So it was hard to maintain, because like this familiar situation was in the semifinals where Sickenson played before, and there. In that tournament, what was wrong, like the teams were pushing from the different directions. But this time, when we have one side defended, we can just go back and fight. Like we can maneuver in fight. So that was my main goal, to defend this Mandlebrick. It was a bit hard. I was trying to stop the decoding. I was pre-firing in the smoke 2 times, but I miscalculated the time a bit. I think we would have ended like in the first decode, because if I would have picked like 5 seconds later, I would have killed the guy decoding, and that's all.
Yeah, well, look, it is very obvious you guys have done your studying, very well executed, almost perfect on the day. It ended up being as perfect as you can go. I'm really impressed with you guys, really excited for the win, and excited to see you all in the future as well. Starbaxer, I tip my hat to you, man. AWM specialist, you were hitting your shots today. That weapon is strong, but your aim was stronger. Any final shout outs to your fans, teams, if you guys stream, anything else you want to close out today's broadcast with?
Yeah, we're all streaming, like Twitch TV, Stickinson, Starbucks, and Kaiser. Come watch us, guys. I want to say thanks for all the people watching, because I think that the Delta Force esports have a long way to go, but it's pretty good. It's fun. And year after year, it becomes more interesting. So I think that more people need to watch it to like get the scene up there. And this Delta Force League is huge. It's cool.
Yeah. A lot going on in the Delta Force ecosystem, especially in esports. Starbaxer, you're going to be a big player in it. I know that for sure, and your team as well. Congrats again, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, guys. You as well.
All right, Dandra, I gotta say, I think, I'm not biased, but I do think that might be the best interview I've ever had with a player, coach, and everything in between. What a fabulous breakdown of strategy, all of their thought processes going into this, everything that they wanted to do and how they were able to execute on it. So insightful for the people at home.
Yeah, and I love that he brought up, they said, hey, that was completely a misplay in map number 1. It kind of has me wondering, Goj, if they hadn't made that misplay in map number 1, how different would maybe some of these games had looked? But obviously, even with having that mistake in game number 1, like you talked about, they're still able to clutch it on up. I'm right there with you. I love hearing players kind of break down their thought process, and I'm glad that he had the exact same idea that I had, where he's like, I'm surprised more people didn't push faster in that last game that we had. Like, it got, he had to wait for so long. Got Mixie, almost comes down to the very first one. Glad that the teams, all of their studying that they obviously very much did, came to fruition and really was kind of the key difference maker, it felt like, between them and some of our other teams.
Yeah, it was really cool to hear. A great team. They obviously crushed it, but a big congratulations to all of our teams. They've all earned something for being here today. And Dan, I gotta say, man, we gotta close this thing out, but I gotta give you your flowers as well. Absolutely crushed it for your first time in the Delta Force booth, and I believe I'll be seeing you a bit later. Any final words for the broadcast?
No, hey man, for our first Delta Force show, this was really, really fun to watch all of our teams kind of drop on into these maps. I love this format. It's super engaging. I like that everybody is really kind of taking hold with it. I love that all the different operators are causing our teams to really think with some strategy, map over map, and what they want to go and do. So many layers of nuance that you got to kind of think about and work your way on through. But also at the end of the day, sometimes, like we saw right there with Starbaxter, it's just about who can hit their shots better than everyone else. And that is sort of the nice ebb and flow that I love that we see here in Delta Force. Can't wait for North America later.
I appreciate it, Dandro. Folks, can we get a W, Dandro, in the chat? We'll see you a little bit later, Dan. A great show, as always. Folks at home, what a great day for Delta Force Esports. We're just getting started with the Delta Force Elite Invitationals. We just finished this European region, but we've got the North American region right around the corner, folks. 7 p.m. Central Time is when we'll be going live with all of the action. It's 5 p.m. Pacific. You can do that calculation in your head for your own time zone, but 5 p.m. Pacific, same place on all of the Delta Force channels. We're going to be live with all of your favorite North American teams. It's going to be heavy hitting action. And if the Delta Force Global League repeats its history again, we will go to 6 games. You're going to be seeing a lot more Delta Force. You're not going to want to miss it. But as per the usual, I've got to remind you that we couldn't do it without you, the viewer. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in a couple hours. Skipper squad.
Yeah, I like this full send this right now. You know you have to not just play as a team. Go ahead, swing wide. They are not careful. Biggest C layer, the carry starting to move on up. You got a couple of gadgets that you need. Already, we're starting to see this Byron start to move on forward. Can he man in the process? Addison's going to be able to get on up.
On the flank, Larry the carry living up to his name as they pick up a triple on Delta Sconded at this point. So it's a 1v1, and I'm usually taking the perfect angle. Talk to
great. Stickinson, though, he is just lighting it up if possible. Get over here is what Ideologist says. Little quick smackdown with the shield. Bit away from that Siniva. Look who's here. Let's just go.
Uses the distraction. Takes down one. Is going to go for the steal here. Going to take a little the point where this cannot be stolen again. They have traded. Blows
again. Larry the carry pushing on forward. You have 5 seconds left on this extract. You're running out. Do his best. Ooh, a little bit of a hop up.
Now, if they take this fight incorrectly, which they might, we have an angle on this outside. They've got to know that
they're starting to move here. They're pushing on forward. I don't know if you're going to have
on the extraction point. He's going to play this off angle because I don't think they know he's here and he fights. Potentially pick up a very quick team fight. Another great way to use the Siniva.
Team Dickinson right now. Like, they're trying to push on for. Can he manage to hold on to this? Only 20 seconds, man.
Right here, right now, and Starbaxter knows it. They're fighting each other. They're ruining their day. Hey, we're barrel stuffing. We're getting the kill. Delta Fix steals it. Delta Fix steals it.
Who has a full trio, and they are nowhere to be seen right now for the wreck.
Yeah, I mean, they set everything up perfectly. This is the team that has won it all. No questions asked.